Okay. Everybody on? Okay. I'd like to call the general budget workshop to order. The workshop is being held live on this day in the Clinton Town Hall. We have a full quorum, everybody's present. So we'll start off with the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Okay, so the business workshop that we have before us is pretty standard of what we've done in prior years. It's nothing unusual. The numbers may be different, but the process is the same. We will go through the general fund from front to bottom, revenue and general expenses. If anybody is in the audience that has a comment or something, we'll jump in and let them do their piece so they don't have to stay here. At the moment, there is nobody, so we're just going to keep on going the way we are. So we'll go from the beginning to the end. After we're done with all generally the equipment and what we call contractual expenses, electric bills and toilet paper and pencils and all that kind of stuff. Then we can do the salaries and wages for everybody. We do them all at one time. That was hopefully a little consistency. And then after that, we have a list of, I call them projects that we carry from year to year. Sometimes they get enacted, sometimes they get improved to do, and sometimes we don't do them, and we just carry them over. And that'll be at the very end. So that's the flow that we're going to be doing. And we're just going through the budget in the sequence in which it is. I'm not jumping around saying, okay, we're going to do town board and then go back to rec and come back and forth. Just start right at the beginning and go through the end.
But we're not doing salaries, though.
No, not salaries. We'll do salaries all at one time, and then we can hopefully get some semblance of reasonableness between them all.
Okay.
Okay? So the first item is the town board contractual, and we added at the last time conventions training, okay, because there is no conventions training, my mistake, because we're not having new board members to go for training. Mm-hmm. And New York City, I just got the letter today, said the annual training down in New York City over President's Weekend, I emailed it to all the board. They're not having it. They're doing it somehow virtually. So
what is the $200 for travel? What's that travel?
I just leave it in there in case you got to go, for example, say you go to a meeting that you got to pay for a lunch, or you want to go over to Marbletown to some sort of conference or
it's just for local travel.
It's local stuff. It's not, it's what I call nickel and dime spending, not $500 or $1,000.
But then should we put in something for it says convention training, but we don't have anything for other training. So like if we go down to the farm center, they usually have like a $5
Yeah, that's under travel.
So you're just putting that under travel.
Yeah, we've always done that under travel. Yeah, convention training is the $500, $300, where you stay at a motel, hotel, or something like that.
I understand this is convention training, but I would have separated and put one as training.
We've been doing this for over 20 years.
Just have a clarification. That's fine.
I would like to make a comment about that, though. About the 3 hours a week for the town board, your calculations.
I said we are not doing
salaries,
salary or wages at this time. We'll do it at the very end, all at one time.
All right.
We're at the 10.4.
I don't know if anybody here works 3 hours a week. Okay.
Well, I'm just
I mean, I know we're not talking money,
Not arguing over those numbers.
but the
Not even gonna
calculations
talk to 'em
are
yet.
not right. Okay,
If you
fine.
want to complain and say you're working 20 hours a week and nobody else is, we'll figure out how to do that here.
Okay,
But right now, I'm just trying to do the equipment and the contractual items.
all right.
Okay, so that's the town board contractual, so it's just the $200 is there essentially. All the other paper supplies, office supplies and stuff, you get through 1620, so it doesn't cost anything to that account. The next one is justices. I've had a back and forth with the judges. They wanted $4,000 back in it. Originally, they said they didn't need it, and then they said they wanted it in. I looked back at the records. They traditionally do about $2,000 when they do go for the last 2-3 years. So I said, look, how about only going to $3,000 instead of $4,000? It saves
On which one are we talking? Convention?
Travel?
conventions and training for justices.
Yeah, it was 4,000 last year.
I know it was. And it's been 4,000 for lots of years. Okay, I go back and look.
But the actual you're saying is,
Is roughly 2,000, 2,025, 2,200. So I said, look, why don't we go down to 3,000? We're in a tight year. So,
Yeah,
that was-
they've spent less than 500 this year.
well, that's because they can't travel.
Yeah,
So, I mean, looking at the actuals for this year
is,
is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't really spend that much effort on it because it's not representative of business as usual. Now, that may be indicative of next year. I don't know.
So Ray, you have 0 in conventions and training.
I know. I said they would like 3,000 and I would like to put it
Okay,
in.
That's what I was going to say, same thing. So they want 3,000.
Now, you know, this includes the 2 clerks and the 2 judges. Now, some of those, not the judges, but the clerks, sometimes work in 2 places and they split the bill. So, you know, we pay half. So the other town that they work pays the other half. So, you know, we've done a lot of that stuff. So that's one of the reasons it sort of stays low.
And what was the number last year again, you said that it was?
4,000.
2,000 apiece?
No, 4,000 total.
4,000.
that's what they budgeted was 4,000.
Yeah,
Last year.
last
You
year.
want to know what they spent?
Yes, that's better.
That was like 2,000.
2,000.
2,000. I mean, I can look and give you an exact number, but it's around 2,000 or 2,200 in that ballpark.
yeah, and by last year, we're saying 2019.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
Yeah,
That- which is a more representative.
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
So do you agree, or?
I would maybe hedge a little less, but, you know,
Well,
it's all a guessing game at this point, too. I mean,
I know.
but now that, you know, just going forward, that says that we're now $30,000 over budget, because we added in 7,000 from last week. We started out with 20,000.
But we've got the 115,000 coming out.
Yeah,
So-
we'll get into
So
that.
the 115 was in it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
The
included.
library.
Now that's not, so.
Yeah, okay, let me give you a quick dissertation. I didn't do all the math because I didn't have time to play all the numbers. Last time, when we went through it, we had the 115,000 in the general fund. That was the library stuff. Per
Michael?
Councilman Witten's request, I pulled it out again and put it down below the item. So that freed up 115,000 in the budget in general fund, but it doesn't matter where it is, it's in the budget. Now, we were 20-some thousand over the cap. So if you take the 20,000 from the 115,000, you're roughly down at 90,000 left.
Before we go over the 20, the cap again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And that would then still probably bring you with a 6 cents increase in the rate.
Gotcha.
I didn't go for the math, but I'm just saying, so it may go 5 cents. I don't know. I didn't do all the numbers because it's just a lot of extra work. So we essentially have, as I say, you know, around 90,000 if we want to,
I don't see how that adds up, because we've never had $100,000 to work with without going over the cap. So I don't see how
Well-
that number,
Well, and Ray's, what it is since Ray had the 115,000 included, I think he was
I'm taking
he was
it out.
cutting a lot of stuff from the budget so that we wouldn't be that far
Right.
over.
but I don't see anything really cut, really,
Oh, we
in
just
comparison.
hit $4,000 from the justices. I mean, that was
That was
cut.
not- yeah,
That was one big one.
Yeah, there were several of those that crept back in, like we crept
All right,
in.
so we can go through the numbers, that's just fine, it's just.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand, do we support the 4,000 extra requests for conventions and training?
We said 3, so.
Or 3, rather.
The question is, I mean, again, next year, if this is going on, is it going to be more remote, and is the cost going to be less at that point? I mean, if they use a little over 2,000 combined with them, I'd say, this year, I'd say probably go 2. What they use this year. I mean, everyone's making cuts somewhere, right?
Yeah, I mean, this year they've spent less than 500.
See, there's a difference between.
But they do a
like,
lot of their training in the fall.
And is this required training?
Yes.
They have
Oh,
required
yes.
training, that's
Yeah.
what I was just about
Okay,
to say.
so if this
It's
is-
different from us wanting to go versus they have to go.
Okay,
Yeah, just like the assessors got to go.
sure, okay, so
Certain things
this year
are,
they
and,
use 500, so,
and the tax collectors should go too for the same, they're in the laws that say you're supposed to do
no, I
that.
understand that, and I have no problem with that, if that's what's in the law.
I'm just
But
giving you the
number-
rationale of a 3,000 versus a 4,000.
I think considering this year was all COVID, clearly they got their required training in. They had to have.
I don't know, they normally do a lot of their training in,
February, March.
no,
April.
no, they do a lot of it in the fall,
Oh, fall time?
Oh, yeah?
yeah.
Well, maybe you gave them a pass.
So I
So
don't know,
I don't
maybe
know what
3,000.
Now, I said 3,000
Yeah.
for next year.
You would imagine too, if the training is virtual instead of live, it'll probably be at a discounted rate.
Yeah, I have no
Charge it
idea.
all. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, just office computers, basically.
Yeah. So 3,000 seems good to me. but-
Okay, so we'll put 3,000 there. Again, as I go through, putting all these numbers in and seeing, if we get a big whoops, then we'll have to readjust that at the preliminary budget meeting in a week. So all the rest of the numbers are pretty much the same there. Let's see, the next one is, me, supervisor. I didn't put convention and training. I just found out that they're not doing it in New York City, so I just cut it, so. That saved about $1,500 this year. The rest of it, the bookkeeper stayed the same, and the annual financial filing for CMA, which we approved the contract, it's around $800. Sometimes it's $775 or $810. From year to year, it varies a little, but that's the ballpark.
And you assume with no training, you'll still need 1,200 for travel?
Yeah. Because I go to
Yeah.
meetings all over the place, plus I go up and pick the checks up and everything else. Yeah. So that's, anybody have any other comments on that section? Otherwise,
That's what you had for last year for travel, was the 1,200?
something like that. It's either 1,000 or
Yeah,
1,100.
it was
But
1,200 last year.
Yeah,
1,200, okay.
yeah. As I say, this year it's crazy. Okay, the next one then becomes tax collector. And the tax collector thing, she's got some conventions and training that she's supposed to go to. Again, that may all become virtual, we don't know. Postage went up because I expect the postage rates to go up a little bit, even though it's a penny, but a penny times 2,000 mailings is lots of money. And tax collecting software, that's the maintenance fee, and they held those rates the same for next year, which is good. Normally, they'd go up.
Where they split out the internet? It says the PGM and the internet.
Oh, yeah, these are different particular programs that they run for us. Then there's another one on the other side,
The internet,
RDS.
where it's on our web, where you can go online to the BAS system.
And make a payment?
And you can make a payment, you can find your property.
Right.
Get a copy of your bill or receipt or whatever. So they held all of that the same. So other than that, that's pretty much the same from last year, other than, as I said, I increased the postage because prices are going up, and if anybody knows anything better, I'll change it, but I don't know. I essentially went up like a cent or 2 cents, times what we had before. And so that's the tax collector one. The next one comes down to assessor.
Budget officer.
Assessor does,
That's just salary. We're doing salaries later.
Okay.
So you went up, or you went down from 300 to 170 on travel.
yeah. I mean, I sort of discussed the numbers with her, and she gave me numbers, and we modified them up and down.
Legal notices, you went down about $50.
Yeah, I go look and see what history is. Hopefully, we don't have a lot of legal notices, but there are things that she's got to put in, when the
Now you took
books
out,
are available.
we put in for $450 last year for small claims. You don't have anything on this.
We've been very successful so far in not needing to have a small claims court for appraisals. There were years where we used to spend over $1,000 getting 2 or 3 done. So far, with the efforts of the assessor and the town attorney, we've been able to save that $450 or whatever it would be, depending on the type of thing that we're doing for appraisal. So I took it out. I did not always
Hypothetically-
increase things. I did take things out.
Hypothetically, just a question, so if we have nothing in there and then all of a sudden next year becomes like a crazy year.
Then we do it, and then we take
then
it
we
out
ju-
of
then we just take it out of
contingency.
Okay.
Or
Then we'll
maybe it comes out of some other line item that all of a sudden we don't need. I mean, this happens for everything. That's why I move funds every month,
Sure.
To
No,
balance.
I understand that.
because if we were so good that we could figure out these numbers today, we would not be in these jobs. Okay, any other questions on the assessor expenses? Next, we go down to BAR, Board of Assessment Review. There's two things in there. One is legal notices and the other is meals, when they have to work. Sometimes they come in and work all day, so we give them a hot dog and a soda and some chips or something, I don't know. And, they work all day and get it done because they got a fairly tight schedule. They got to finish it in roughly a week. Not a week, but about 3 weeks.
Yeah, and most of the time, 3 years I was on, it was pretty much.
You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if
It's
you
been
do a
pretty-
big assessment, if the numbers change, we get lots of them. I mean, I've been here when we had a lot of them. We've been running pretty good right now. So that looks no change there. Town clerk,
Nothing changed.
well, it's a BAS thing, but, it's a big number, but they're not changing it. We put in, again, 5 local laws to be updated in the general code book. That's the green book that has all the local laws, and we put it on the web page and all. For example, the overriding of the tax cap's a local law, as inconsequential as it looks. It's still got to be put in the book, and that's like $500 to $1,000 just to do that. So and then some of them, like we have the a farm events law or the
Yeah.
other other laws, which are bigger, could be more expensive depending on how big they are. So it's a number of pages times the complexity of it. So we put 5,000 in for 5 of them. If we do 4, we do 4. If we do 3, we do 3. We just never know from year to year. So, anybody have any comments or changes there? Okay,
Well, we've spent 0 on the general code so far this year, so let's get these laws done by December.
well, I have 5 in for this year just to
Yeah, of course.
cover ourselves, because that's what I
We
thought we
didn't
would
expect
have.
7 months of nothing.
Yeah. So,
So the attorney jumped up quite a bit,
yes.
Jumped up.
Well,
from 50,000 to 75.
no, that's,
Oh.
that went up last year.
2020, it was 99.5.
We're underexpended, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. However, if things open up a little, I mean,
Oh.
we've got a lot of stuff in the wings.
We keep anticipating the zoning revision
That's a
and
lot
the
of-
attorney fees that
and
will incur.
that
But we
really
haven't finished
cranks it
zoning
up.
revision, and we haven't met for 7 months in
And
zoning
it
revision.
cranks it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just can't use this year as a good reference
Yeah.
point. And I cut back a little bit on the special prosecutor V&T. I think I had 20 before, and I had 15. Just looking back over several years to see what the general number is. It's the same people, same rate, so I thought we'd save a few bucks there. And the other attorney line is still 500, which represents maybe about 2 or 3 hours of support from an outside attorney where there's a specialized activity needed to be investigated or go to court on. For example, in the past, when we were dealing with the, like, Niagara Mohawk power lines, when they wanted a big reduction in their assessment, we hired a firm, a particular individual in a firm, but the one that had the best skills in doing that. And we did save lots of money. We got lots of money, rather, by keeping the rate up, not putting it down like they wanted it, so it more than paid for the extra cost, but we don't know how it's going to be. I mean, we may have a real challenge with this new power line coming in. Okay, the upgrade of the power line, because the upgrade is, the land is going to be still at the same rate because land is land. They're not really doing anything to the land. But it's going to have a lot of improvement stuff. So it's the wires, the poles, and all of that kind of stuff that's got to be added into the thing. So that's could be a challenge if we don't feel the state is doing enough, because the state picks some numbers too. So it's not just us, and it gets to be quite interesting as you go back and forth on that. So that's why I just keep a little in there in case we needed a special consultant or whatever. I cut the power line, no power line thing down to 500 because I personally didn't have any time to do anything this year with the COVID and the budget cycle being so weird, trying to figure out numbers. So that's that one. Anybody have any comments further? Question? Okay, the engineer, that's the town engineer, Pete Sotero.
I would like to have that increased. I have so far we're moving ahead on the grant for
Yeah.
Friends Park. It's a multiple faceted grant. There's going to be a lot of work involved in that, and I'd like to have that go to 2,000, not 1. I don't think 1 is going to be sufficient for the amount of work that needs to be done before the end of the year.
I don't know, did you talk to him and ask him if
Well, any work that he does this year is this year, so we're just talking about for next year.
I'm talking next year,
Okay.
yeah.
You said
But-
by the end of the year, so
The bill isn't going to come in till the end of the year.
No,
so.
the bill comes in credited to this year because it's an encumbrance. It's an encumbrance.
And we have,
But we are,
We spent like $200 so far this year,
Okay, it is 2, all right,
something like that.
Never
I mean,
mind.
I can look it up.
never mind. I don't know
We
where we
spent
are.
141.55.
Where are we with the budget on him?
Huh?
Have we expended anything? with
We've
him?
only
Yeah.
spent $141 this year on them,
Yeah,
and I think that was the painting project.
Okay. Okay,
yeah. And, you know, for him to do these grants, the bulk of the paperwork is generic from year to year. I mean, he and I have done these things for years, and I did it originally, gave him the templates that we used at that time, and they change them around. So, I mean, it's not writing every word this new.
all right,
It's taking
Understand.
sections of it where you got to put in the specific project
yeah.
and the cost
We're looking at-
estimates and the
we're
schedule.
looking at 3 different
But
things.
there's a lot of boilerplate
Okay.
that's in there.
All right,
So, you know, I think 1,000 will do it good. Okay, the next one is down on records management. 2,000 for other under shelving, which is new to help organize all the paperwork and the confusion we have with it right now, okay? We've never really addressed that with much effort in the past, and Carol's going to make an effort to try to get it better organized so that we can be in compliance with,
Also, I'm going to file a grant also, a SARA grant, and that happens in the new year. It's due like at the end of February, so we may not need it anyway, because that's one of the things that the education department sort of likes to promote. Organization, many of our documents are permanent, so we need a records room, and that's my
Okay.
goal.
and the other times on some of these grants, there's a, you got to contribute some money. So I don't know what that number will be, because I don't know what the final cost is for doing the full job with all the shelving, and, because this is holding paper, and it's pretty heavy shelving. It's not the,
They have, the state ed department has a standard, you
Yeah,
have to meet their
yeah.
standard.
It's not something you go to Sam's Club or Lowe's or something and buy a plastic thing. They'll fall apart and collapse on you. It's just a waste of money. So that's new, that one there. Next page, okay, is equipment. Here, we have, I always carry like about $300 in here for furniture equipment. Sometimes we need a special chair if we got somebody that is disability and we got to comply with it. We have money there to cover that. Sometimes you need a special table or something like that. So it's not a lot of money, but it's just to cover us. Miscellaneous programs, occasionally we pop up with a program. All programs cost anywhere from $200 to $500 each, so $700 is like 2 programs. We never know what these are. We're going to be eventually upgrading up in the loft here for the video computer and and programs there to give us more flexibility. Maybe we can simultaneously do over the internet and do YouTube at the same time. Right now we don't have that capability. We got to figure out what kind of extra equipment it takes to do that. So that's what that's in there for. And then we have the various backup storage things and stuff. And we're going to be needing some new computers. Carol's computer is on its deathbed. And for some reason, some of these computers are dying out. So we're trying to be prepared. If we need it, we need it. If we don't, we don't spend
Did we
it.
get the 10 this year? Did we do the 10?
Yeah,
We did, right?
yeah. Well, we're missing one. We're going to look for up here to put one in but that one, we knew we were going to delay until we had an opportunity to meet with Jerry and Fred to see what kind of features it's needing, because it's not a standard
that one was already into the budget for this year.
Yeah, yeah, what he was asking about the 10.
Yeah, because
no,
we
no.
had put it in the budget for 10 this year, and I didn't
No,
remember buying a 10.
No, we didn't, we bought 9. We had held out that one. And the library's still pushing for the diaper changing tables.
So it was put in the budget last year, and we
I
never
know.
spent it.
I know, because we didn't have until recently, I'll say in the last 3 months or something like that, a maintenance guy.
Yeah, yeah.
We got the maintenance guy, but he's having some surgical operation stuff done.
Yeah.
So I don't know that he'll be physically able to do that kind of lifting and stuff this year, so
Okay.
it may float. It may come in. We may buy it and install it next year.
Okay.
We haven't discussed it with them. I got to be sure he's in good condition there. Okay, so that's what I call equipment there. Down the bottom is the contractual stuff. Travel, postage. Again, postage went up because I expect it to go up 1 or 2 cents next year sometime. And this postage is for almost all the organizations. The only ones that aren't included here are the mailing out of the tax bills, because that's a separate kind of big expense, so I keep that separate. And that was in the tax collector's thing. And the other one is under the assessor. She has postage because she's got to mail out changes to the assessment and stuff that we do every year as properties change in value due to changes physically made to them or sales or whatever they are. So other than that, all the rest of the postage, and that includes highway, planning, zoning, town clerk, me, all of us here. So that's the postage thing. The telephone is everybody's. Electricity, that's a hard one to do because with us being on such a reduced workload here.
I'm wondering if we saw savings this year because of all the LED stuff. Because currently it looks like we're
Well,
on track to be about $6,000 under what we
It could be.
budgeted.
It could be. I don't know. I haven't done the analysis of that. Heating, fuel oil, I left it up because don't know how much we're going to use. And propane, I almost doubled or tripled it because we're talking about a propane heating system. I have no idea how much it takes, but I just increased the numbers so we had the money there. Other services, that's all kinds of odds and ends stuff. Then we have a whole pile of software maintenance things, and I went over it with Fred, and we did change some of those numbers, but I haven't reflected them. I gave the sheet to Sam. Actually, she was updating this for preliminary information, and I don't have that, so we'll have that. But some went up, some went down, but it's sort of, I'll say, within $500 a wash. I can't tell you which ones are which by memory.
But this is basically stuff so that we have backups and things
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. It's a normal operation.
Yeah, it's a lot more than what we spent so far this year, though, so I'm just making sure.
Yeah. As I say, some stuff went up, some went down. Then we have the copier lease, computer support, virus review, supplies, water bottles. That includes rental of those things because each bottle, station is $10 a month. So, and we drink a lot of water. And when the electric goes off here, the highway crew uses it to flush toilets, wash hands, and cook and everything else because what can they do? The electric's off, there is no water, and they're supposed to be here to try to help during emergency situations. So don't know that.
Seems like we should just fill up a bottle of water than paying for a bottle of water to flush down the toilet.
Well, all I can say is, now I have under, and I don't know if you read it, but under new projects for about $2,500, we can put in a sulfur removing system. And then that should work for everything, and there's no maintenance, like, you know, if you put one in for hard water, you gotta put salt in every month.
One of the other things I've said over the years was that if we had bought the, you know, the hot water, cold water dispensing system for about $100, $125 a piece, we'd be paid for 2 years ago.
Or as far as buying them, yeah.
Instead of leasing them at $10 per
Yeah,
unit.
I mean, each year, the only thing is if it breaks, but, I mean, typically, yeah, you can get them for 125 if they're hot and cold. I know, like,
Right.
just even at Home Depot, I seen them, yeah.
So I'm just, you know, giving you some of what that means. Then the rest of them are generally building and grounds maintenance. These are the contracts we have for the yearly, by year, twice a year, elevator inspection, changing of the filters in all the units, heating and cooling units and stuff like that. Now, the one thing I left, and I don't know what the real number might want to be, I left the town hall floor tile replacement because nothing was being done on it this year at all. So I left it 10,000. We're probably not going to spend it this year. I'm just guessing with all the COVID stuff. So maybe that could go up to 15, and then we can do the whole floor just like we'd planned to do. But right now, I just left it the same. So it's just the same as before.
So the building painting, this was an ongoing every year thing we were going to do, right?
Well, give me a number that you want to add.
I will. We budgeted 30,000 this year. The schoolhouse only cost 15.
Well, just out of curiosity, just real
Yeah.
fast, I know it's not, what's going on with this guy anyway? We're talking about.
Well, it was supposed to be the first project of the summer.
Yeah.
And then there was insurance issues, so he started doing other jobs, and because he started doing other jobs, it became his last project. So he should be doing it now, I assume. I haven't been here this week, but I know he had
I have
guys
not
here.
seen him.
He had guys here last week that were scraping, and
Yeah, those were contractor guys.
but the work has started, correct?
They took down the shutters. That's it.
All right.
That's the work being done so far. That's all I know. You can walk around and maybe you see something else, but that's all they
To
did.
say that was 15, should we assume 45 for the Masonic Hall?
I think we can assume 45, and I think it'll be a lot less.
It should be, I mean, geez,
I think it'll
just
be
got
in the
two
30 to
customers that have
35 range.
houses painted cheaper than that are bigger than the Masonic Hall, and they're just over like 22, 23,000.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, prevailing wage is the other thing that's
Prevailing
Well, he's been able to.
I know, that's
Yeah.
how he keeps.
So we can probably get it for 30, 35, I think.
Will he be?
Well, I got a price on my house years ago, and they wanted $40,000. I mean,
Really?
yeah. I got it done for 20, but still,
Yeah, well,
everybody
people
else was
put in
coming in
whatever
at
number they
You
want.
fed him a lot.
something like that.
Will you have that done before the
mean-
weather turns? We don't know that
He's
yet.
supposed to. I mean, I'm going to call him tomorrow, I guess. I just wrote that down.
Could be two sides,
I
two
mean,
sides?
He's doing the building.
so a couple things, you know, as I've, over a few times, I've walked around the outside of these buildings. I mean, definitely Masonic Hall needs to get painted as well. But this building here, there's cracks within the foundation that need to be addressed on the outside. There's other stuff down on the outside that needs to be taken care of. You know, I mean, a good power washing on some of it. Some of it is repainting. Some
Lot
of it
of
is fixing
prep.
some rot. There's rot around some of the windows on this building here. That I don't know. We got to address it, but we're gonna kind of start losing some of the stuff. It's going to cost us a lot more money down the road because it hasn't been touched in a while.
We've been working through
You
a
know,
lot of
last
these
year, they
small
did all the
jobs.
soffits and everything else.
Yeah, but if you go on the backside, like Todd had the guys cut some of the trees and all that stuff back, and from everything being so damp back there, it's been rotten.
Well, that big tree needs to go.
Yeah, I
That's a
agree.
big problem on the backside
Would
there.
some of that prep work be done by our maintenance person?
Yeah, he worked
So we need
and
to
spray
increase
painted the
his
back and
hours.
cleaned it off, got rid of it with a power washer.
Right.
Got some chemicals
Okay.
from Williams Lumber, I don't know what it is, and spray painted it.
So can we get a number for the building painting? And I know it'll be a large one, and it'll cut into our.
Well, it's your, I'm not even going to venture a guess.
So you want to say 35?
I was going to say 35. So
Okay.
There it is.
35.
It's your number, 35.
I'll own it, don't worry.
It is not trivial to do.
Oh, I know it's not trivial. I think it'll cost a lot more than 35 if we just let that building keep rotting.
Oh, absolutely. If
Right.
you still got to start doing wood repairs and everything else.
Okay. So that's, the rest of the stuff is the same as before.
I did put in a call to Dee Dee's office, and they are going to get me an answer on what's going on with the
Okay.
grant this week
Okay,
or
so.
next week.
Which grant was that one?
They wanted to put the
ramp.
handicap
and stuff,
ramp
yeah.
Oh, okay.
and a roof.
Okay, the insurance is the next one that pops up. Unallocated insurance, NYMER, fire bond and all. It sort of went up a little bit, but not that much, but we increased last year for ransom, which added some more money to the bit.
Now, the
Insurance.
contract with the ASPCA runs for a year, correct?
You know,
Well, the one that we just signed, didn't we say, because Shane had it, I think, end December 31st, and
Yeah.
there'll be a new one that starts from January 1st to be the year, yeah.
So it'll be for the entire year?
Yeah.
So we won't see a mid-year change and then
No.
redo a contract?
And I mean, you know, I emailed them and said, do you expect any things to go up? And they said they don't, but obviously that can change for them.
Okay,
But
good.
so I left the municipal dues the same as before. Actually, the association fees went up $99 this year. The rest of them are all staying the same. Chargebacks, that's a number that varies all over the place. That comes in at 7,000, it comes in at 10,000. 9,000 seems to be a good measure. We just got the bill, so you're not going to see it for
Yeah.
this year. And
what was it this year? Did you just, since you just got the bill, do you know what it was? Ballpark even?
probably about 7,
Yeah.
because it comes in pieces. Because I got to take the library piece and pay that, and I got to pay ours, and we have the fire departments pay theirs.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, I get one number, and then I get
And then you
a
have to split it out,
spreadsheet that
yeah.
I got to figure out what all we pay. Now, I don't think we may have just paid it on this cycle. Okay.
It's on the October warrant.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it made the warrant. Contingency account, I added 5 to it, so it's up to 25 instead of 20, because we take care of all the whoopses out of there. And, you know, things are getting much harder to take into account because we don't know what's happening. Then we go down to the dog control office. I put the contract at 6,000. It's 500 a month. Dog boarding, you told me 1,000, and you said court actions, which we got to pay for if they go to court, is 500. So it's essentially the same number we had before.
Yeah. And we have spent 0 so far this year, so hopefully that'll be the same.
On
Hopefully that'll stay the same too.
so let's see. Next page is building and
Just curious on the, I'm jumping into the cable thing.
can we wait until we get to there?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to be very methodical so we don't miss anything here.
I can't hear half of what you're saying, that's
You
why.
can't?
If I sound a little bit ahead, it's because I'm still having the hearing problem, so
Can you hear me now if I'm real close?
a little bit better, yes.
A little better? I'll pull it even
The audience
closer.
might like it, too.
I don't know, okay. Building inspector, these are just, the big change from last year was the $800 here for the update of the building code that we got to buy next year. We bought the building code for this year at $600, but they said, be prepared, it's $800 next year. And that book we must have, because that's the reference point whenever a building inspection's going to be done or building permit being issued. And we have them going all the way back to 62, because that's when we started, so things got to be consistent with that. So that's that one. Vital statistics, we put $100 in there in case she's got to buy pages for her books. Special paper for weddings or births or whatever. Deaths, who knows. So it's not much, but it's what we normally carry just to provide something so it's not all surprise. The highway we sort of went through before, and we added back in, I think it was $600 for conventions and training, so Todd can go to Cornell to learn how to be. It was 700. Okay, I see so many numbers, it's hard to remember them all exactly anymore. So that provides training for him to go there. There's no agreement that they're going to have training. I don't know. Or I haven't heard anything either way. The rest of it's pretty small and same as last year.
Economic assistance?
That's a number we get directly from them.
Yeah.
It's in that ballpark every year. Okay. Now we got the zoning administrator. Now, this is assuming sort of we have two, but I don't know if we're going to have two or not. But so I put $1,200 in for travel to allow them to run around. That's about the only expense they have.
Did you skip
Did I skip something?
rec?
Oh, cable.
Recreation?
Oh, cable TV.
Oh, mine's in a different order or something.
No. Oh, I forgot cable TV. My
We had-
mistake. That was the one that.
We went from
economic assistance under the superintendent.
Oh,
And
maybe I
I
slipped the
flipped the
page.
page and we get recreation.
Okay, I went too far. My mistake. Okay, we're at recreation and parks. Okay. These are their numbers. Most of them are fairly consistent in here. The insurance is about the same. Health director, maintenance. These are sort of the numbers we had. Same number for arts and crafts. If we have it, we have it. If we don't, we don't. We can't plan on not having it. And then I had, per Nancy, she wanted community events, which is the top of page 9, and I reduced it from 1,000 to 500 to sort of save a little money, but still not prevent any action being taken. So we didn't do anything this year relevant to it. Who knows if COVID stays in place? There's not much we can do. And then we go down to the senior citizens. They got two lines there. Other services. We pay, the town pays for the senior summer picnics, like $3 or $4 a senior that registers. So, from the town of Clinton. So they keep the records and they bill us, and it ranges anywhere from $400 to $500, depending on how people are wanting to go. But again, if COVID is in place, it may not be that expensive. This year they did drive-throughs. In other words, they gave them a picnic sandwich package.
I go back quick to the historian, because you have it under contractual, but isn't it
That's his salary.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a salary. Okay.
Okay, that's all it is. I mean, he hasn't asked for anything else. We just pay him that. It's a 1099 kind of salary.
Mhm.
And then the supplies, some of the exercise equipment is wearing out after 20 years of use and stuff. So just put a small bit of money in there. We'd pay for that. But they haven't been exercising since COVID because it's one of the groups that is probably going to have a problem with the virus if they all meet together. Let's see, the next one comes down to cable TV. There's two items. We had this other one in there, the portable microphones. That's under equipment. If for example, we had to, for some reason, not be able to do something in here, which has happened on several occasions over the years, we either go to the courtroom for a board meeting or something, or we go up to the Masonic Lodge thing, but with this COVID, who knows? But what's happened is we don't have good reception of the talking, and this is to buy better microphones to do that. Just the microphone located on the camera doesn't really pick it all up. So they're looking at, and we may even buy it this year, but we'll see what happens. And the other is just tapes, DVDs, cables, and tie-ups and stuff like that. When we get to the ZEO, as I said, I increased the travel to 1,200 to allow 2 people running around. Normally they don't buy books or anything like that. Most of their training would fit in the category of travel. It's like, $35 to go to a common place like Farm and Home Center for a 4-hour class on something or other. So we may have the right number, but for the wrong reason. And then we go down here. Next one is Planning Board and ZBA. Travel, conventions and training, not much. Legal newspaper ads, there's typically stuff we have to do, some supplies. And included in here now is the zoning revision update. This includes the attorneys and the secretary or clerk, whatever you want to call her. This is what we had before, and obviously we haven't spent much this year because of the virus. So that's what that one's all about. Research is the next one. That's the scenic and historic roads. I put $50 in case they got to buy a map or something like that. Sometimes they do that kind of stuff. CAC is next. Again, travel lets them go to some of these conferences over at the Farm and Home Center. Occasionally they buy a map or make a poster of something that they want to exhibit in the library or with nature walk for the kids as part of their training or upgrading. So they spend anywhere from $200 to $400 in that ballpark a year. And it's never always the same thing because the work changes. The next one is refuge and garbage. This is the trash pickup here at the one dumpster at the town hall, which has saved us some money. So we did that. Roadside cleanups, it's sort of about the same number. Tire disposal, that's when both the highway gets rid of these big tires, which cost like $50 a piece or something like that. And this includes the tires that are turned in at the recycling days too.
So let me ask you a
People
question.
pay.
Since our parks have been closed, have we canceled our garbage
That would be on.
this year? I'm not even talking about the budget. I'm talking about this year's.
I don't know.
expenditures.
Nancy, did you handle that? We did it last year. You're supposed to.
No, I'm saying we
Should be.
The park hasn't been open all year, so having garbage
We
pickup.
did have swimming
Well,
all summer.
We had,
We had swimming all summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the other park.
Oh, the other park, well, yeah.
as the end of the month, Everything will be cleaned up, closed up. There is nothing in the other two parks. It's just Fran Mark. The other two haven't had any dumpsters or anything else. So we'll close up.
So they haven't had a dumpster over at the other park? That was
Just
my
Fran
question.
Mark. No, there hasn't been a dumpster this year at all.
Oh, okay.
Okay? We actually, I lie. We took it out in March, took it away.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only way it works, unless you can put some real good locking system on it, because bolt cutters make it accessible. And then the other thing is the stickers and supplies that we use to make dumpster stickers. I mean, recycling stickers and rec park stickers. They all $100. It varies from year to year, but that's the general idea. The COVID expenses, we have them there. I have no idea what's going on. I've seen some situations that say for every necessary person in government, you're supposed to have a 6-month supply of the supplies they need. That's masks or gloves or whatever it is. We get lots of those for free from 911 from the state. So I have no idea what we have to buy versus what we get free. So I didn't know what to put in. Nancy, if you want to give me a better number, I'll put it in. I just don't know right now.
I can give you, I've got that invoice coming through, I can give you a number.
For next year, not this year,
And
next
that'll
year.
be enough supply for close to a year.
Yeah, but I mean, if you buy one of these hand sanitizing stations on a pedestal, you don't buy one every year.
No,
So I'm
Well,
just,
the bill that you're going to give him is for this year, and if it's good for a year, that means we won't need anything for next year.
what the equipment we're buying is good indefinitely.
yeah.
The solutions are what I'm talking about, and I believe we are purchasing enough for almost the entire year next year.
Even the hand sanitizer one?
Right.
Because we get
I will-
that,
I'll
we get
have
a
that
gallon,
figure
we
for
get
you.
gallons of that free from 911. We've gone through about 6 gallons so far this year.
Well, the
But-
gallons we're buying of the solution are concentrated, so.
No.
Also, the ones that you've gotten, we weren't using them in the parks, we weren't using them in other places, that was just
Yeah.
in these buildings. So we're adding ones to the parks and things like that, we'll be using more.
I understand, but I'm just saying, I don't want to put in the cost of buying it when I get it free for these hand solutions.
We're buying it this year anyway, it's like
we're buying
What
for a
if-
full year, right?
Well, it's because it's part of the equipment and part of the other piece of the, going in there
We'll buy
sanitizing.
this year, and I'll have him calculate how far that'll take us.
Yeah.
On a,
Fair enough.
and if we need to put something else in there, you'll know it by the week.
Okay,
Right?
yeah, I'm just saying, I don't want to spend money on stuff we get for free.
Right.
Because we get a lot of masks. I put in another order for masks and stuff.
None of this stuff.
No. I'm just saying, I put in another order. I expect in a week or so we'll be able to pick it all up. Like,
That's as of this year, but next year, could that possibly change?
I have no idea.
Yeah, yes, I mean, we don't know.
It doesn't include gloves or face masks
Yeah.
or any of that
Well.
stuff. It's strictly the misting equipment, the hand sanitizer machines, and the chemicals that go
Yeah.
to support those.
And roughly, what's that cost number?
Pardon?
What's that number as far as a cost? Do you remember offhand?
It's about $2,047 to be exact.
So should we put $500 in for maybe a resupply for next year?
A resupply.
That would be reasonable.
All right, so put down 500 for a resupply.
That would be reasonable.
Okay. As I say, we didn't have a real plan as to what we were doing, so how can I pick a number?
That'll be a good number.
Okay, I'm not questioning it, I'm just saying, give me a number. Okay, the next one is cemetery.
Yep.
We got $1,000 for unknown equipment. I
So,
don't know what you want, or is
well,
that
so
more
as
or
we
less?
know, a mower went down, and we have an amazing person that was able to fix it. but it's not anticipated that that mower is going to make it through another season. It's currently functioning. We were hoping to buy mowers with a grant that they were working on, but we've been told by the Division of Cemeteries that if we need to buy that mower now, they're not going to retroactively cover it. I'm glad you're in the audience, Melissa. I did send an email because Todd had asked for prices from Keels, I believe, in Conway. I'm not sure where. And the last email I have from him is that he had asked for prices, but I never got the prices, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we have those numbers on hand.
We don't know. We do not.
All right.
Yeah, they got,
I'll get them for you.
they got
What's a guesstimate, like 7,000, 8,000?
Oh, no, more than that.
more than that.
No, 8,500 is what I would say.
8,500?
And it's got to be state bid.
Yeah. We had 3 bids. He was doing a state bid
Yeah,
for
because he was
Dutchess
taking the
County.
smaller one, the 48 inch.
Yeah,
No,
the
no.
48
The big 72 or 60 inch.
Yeah, we only want a 48 inch because it can fit between the rows of cemetery stones.
Right.
So I think 8,500 is probably reasonable.
So we can throw that in as a guesstimate.
As equipment instead of 1,000,
That'll be under
Yes.
cemetery, correct?
Yes,
8,500. Okay.
because this mower would be specifically geared towards
I
going
know.
between the rows and the cemetery.
And the rest of the numbers are basically what I got from
Yeah.
you guys. And, so far the biggest expense we've been running is the town attorney this year. Even though we've had a few burials and lots,
The one
plots.
thing I would say, and this helps us a little, is the 2,500 under burial services, Cemetery Services Association. We don't pay that. The plot owner pays that, so that can be zero. We don't.
Oh, okay. I mean, you know what you're doing, I don't, on that stuff.
So 2,500 comes out.
Yeah, under burial
Okay,
services.
I'll put it 0.
So what do you mean that the plot people pay it? What does that include? What is
Burial
that?
services is like the excavation and things like that. And
Oh, yeah,
Guy
yeah.
that digs the hole
Right.
and
Yeah.
fills it.
So they're paying that. We don't pay it. And it was in there last year too, I think, and we didn't pay it.
Yeah, okay.
So take that out.
Yeah, it was at
Take it out.
2,500 last year, and we haven't used any of it.
Because I saw it's Cemetery Services Association, and I didn't.
Yeah, it sounded like dues.
No,
That's what I
no,
was
that's
like
what they're
under.
called.
Yeah.
That's
What are they
their,
registering
no,
their
no.
name with a
That's their name.
service?
That's their name. The new item I added this year is employee benefits, unemployment. We are getting hit with unemployment, both in highway and in general fund. That's where the people are. And right now, we probably have about $3,000 to $4,000 worth of liability. The town pays for it. It's not an insurance, and it is what it is, and it's what the state says we got to pay. I've tried. They give it to everybody. They don't even question it the way it seems.
So the question is, is 2,000 enough then?
I don't know. I
Well, I mean,
have
you're saying right
2,000
now,
here,
so,
and I have 2,000 in the highway fund. I don't know.
So
But I say
currently
right
up
now,
to
I
date,
got about 3,000,
So off
4,000.
to date, we have, how much that we paid so far? You said between.
Well,
three and four.
no, this is to be paid over time.
Yeah, no,
I don't, it's like 6 months of payments.
yeah, but I'm just saying, because we are using it right now for this year, so what is that number so far up to date?
I think it's like $500 or $600,
Okay.
something
All right.
like that.
Gotcha.
But I'm looking at the total numbers. So that's a new one. Arch insurance for disability is the same. The medical hospitalization, this plan is the same plan as we had last year. Okay, the prices went up about 7%. So all the numbers here are reflecting that increase that we got from the state, and I gave you copies of all of those. So you can look and read them all. And they're the people who would be covered. The new person up on the top, I put family, because if it's a family person, then we're covered. If it's less, if it's only a single, then we pay the single number. I don't know what it'll be. And then we go down into the HRA administrative fee. This we pay.
So, I'm sorry, can
Yep.
I get an explanation? So you have it as family, but it may not be
It
family.
may not be, I don't know.
Okay. All right.
So is this the best rates for, I mean, the MVP Gold, right? Yeah, the Gold 2 plan. Is it, the plans we have, that's, is it deductible or is it a, deductible or copay?
There's some copay, but it's an HRA in it too. So it's a mixed plan that gives us the best coverage around at the most reasonable cost, both for them and for us. So the next one is we got to pay an HRA administrative fee at $2.50 a month for 3 people, so that's $90, but it's just one of the costs that you got to include. And then the next thing is the HRA cost, which gives them, we have a premium here of $1,600 for a single, and everybody else is at the $3,200. It's just twice the number. And, as you can see, different people pay different amount of share of cost, or the count, pay 10%, 0%, or 15%, depending on when they join in the plans. Next one is benefit for vision. This is the plan that we've had for 20 years. I first got it in the 90s, and everybody's happy with it. Everybody seems to be good coverage, and you can see who pays what and what's all listed here. The rates go up. Sometimes these rates did not go up for this one. You see they're the same for the first half and second half, but if you go down to the dental, you see the first half is at 105, and then it goes up to 111. It's generally in the $2 to $5 range when changes occur. So they just crank the numbers through. And then I put in here, we had it in this year, but got no success. Nobody took it. They were supposed to. All the lifeguards were supposed to. The people, the custodian, the people that work in the rec park and cemetery that deal with it were supposed to take it, but they didn't. I put about $2,000 in to cover it. This is a Hep B immunization, and it's required that we do it. I don't know how I'll get the people to do it. Maybe hold their paycheck until they come back with the form or whatever, but we weren't successful in that Hep B.
Is that supposed to be mandated or?
Yeah. From the state.
So the fact that nobody used it last year, and it was the same amount, shouldn't we just cut that in half?
If we, I don't want to get hit.
The problem is that when people have health insurance coverage, especially lifeguards probably covered under their parents, they're probably getting it through their regular insurance. That was my argument last year.
It's not a standard immunization that's generally included in these plans. You can check on it, but generally this is not one of the standard ones. Just like sometimes they just added shingles to the plans. A couple of years ago it was available, but they didn't have it in the plan, so things pop in and pop out.
Well, things like shingles, they wouldn't do based on, they would base it on the age, whether it would be allowable.
No, I'm just saying for medical coverage. payments, is what I was saying. So these things
I'm
come,
just saying that we didn't use the 2,000 last year, and here
If you
we're
wanna-
going for another 2,000 this year.
well, it
We could
depends on
easily
how,
cut that in half and probably be safe still.
okay, you all agree?
Yeah,
I'm just trying to,
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
just trying to be protected so my name doesn't get in the newspaper. No, anything that goes wrong like that, my name goes in the paper.
Oh, any news?
No. No,
You got to come to the phone.
you
Come to the
can,
microphone.
if you want, come up here to the microphone.
I disagree with Dean because
Arlene Campbell.
I'm sorry, Arlene Campbell. Face recognition. It's hard to talk. I agree with Dean. The reason why you didn't spend it, just like my daughter, the lifeguard, because it was covered from the insurance. So that's, I think, the reason why they did not use it, because most of these lifeguards have insurance and were covered by their parents.
Right.
That's all.
Thank you.
But the other thing is, if they were covered by that, they were supposed to sign and check the block saying they refuse getting it. And I didn't get any of those back either. So either way, we're not covered.
And maybe I suggest you got to give that paper, tell them, check box. If you refuse, waive it, or you have it done and give you the paper that they were vaccinated or something.
We paid a bill. It's not any cost to them. It outlines the whole thing on that. The next two is the bond service for essentially the $2 million bond for the complex thing. And just get those off of there. And the next one is the retirement cost that we have to pay for next year. We typically pay it this year so that we save $1,000. That's what the state says if you pay early. So we just play with those numbers. And the fire districts, this does not reflect, I think, the latest number for West Clinton. But again, all we have is their tentative number. We don't have their final number, and we won't have that in probably until the middle to the end of October. So we'll might see it in the preliminary approval, but it's just a wash through. We collect the money, and I got to keep track of it and make sure that they get it. Okay, so that's all of that into highway. Now we go into the revenue.
So, I mean, it's really hard to make say everything's okay without knowing how all these numbers are reflective of this tax cap, because originally we were estimating 20,000, and then we just added another probably 60,000 or total
Well,
60,000 that we're behind now to see where and what we are. But, you know, 6 months ago, I had been saying that we should be freezing at least our pay because we know that we're going to be shorted, you know, as far as revenues, as far as state reimbursements, and, you know, we have a lot of major increases in here that I'm really kind of
Well, we'll do all the
uneasy about
we'll do
without
all the
knowing what our numbers
increases.
are.
That's why we got
we have the numbers from, say, the fire departments and all those other things by the preliminary or tentative. Oh, it was switched. now.
We should have it by the
Preliminary.
middle of this month.
Well, the fire departments are the fire.
Yeah, I know,
It's a
but I
wash.
mean, it'll help us, like, getting all of these numbers that you say you don't have. Will you have them by the time we have the preliminary budget?
I hope so, but
Okay.
I'm at their mercy of giving them to me. They have to approve them. They're going through the
Because
same
then we're going to
ritual.
be asked to start approving things that we don't have final numbers on, and that's obviously not easy.
Oh, we will have them by the budget cycle, because the numbers that we put in here is what they get. So if they don't give me better numbers, they're stuck with whatever's here.
All right.
Yeah. So, so the real property taxes and all of that stuff, that's all up in the air with the movement of the 115, so those numbers don't even apply exactly. Sales tax, the county has a commitment to us to pay us $200,000. Even if they only get $150,000 is our split. That's their commitment.
Yeah, Marcus was whining that we were going to be okay.
I know.
Well, yeah, okay.
If we get more, we get more.
Well, we haven't gotten below 200,000 since 2014. I checked. So, I mean, even this year, we're scheduled to probably get over 300.
No, I don't think we'll get 300.
We're on track to get about 313 this year.
Oh.
I checked the numbers.
Oh, okay. Well, you got a magic ball better than I do.
We have the first 9 months. You divide it by 9 and then multiply that by 12. It brought me to 313.
Oh, yeah, well, it doesn't quite always work that way.
Christmas is right around the corner.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah. So, franchise cable TV, I think I reduced it a little bit because people are bailing out of the cable TV because of cost. They continually rise with the cost, and so people are going to satellites, DirecTV, or whatever. And so that's a number that is variable over, and we get essentially two checks, one in February and one in July. Clerk fees, that's just as you see, hunting and fishing license, marriage license. Things look like they're probably picking up a little bit, but a $50 increase is not going to make anything either way. Vital statistics, this is revenue for family tree, birth, death certificates that we prepare. There's a fee for them. Sticker sales, you can see that's for the sales to buy them by the public. We give them free to seniors, so it varies all over for individual people. Some people want 3 of them, so they got to pay one price for the first one and different price for the next 2. Tire disposal, this is where people bring the tires that they want to get rid of. We have a fee schedule for it. They collect it at the recycling operation, give us the money, and then we pay the expense as we discussed previously. Summer camp, I figured 4 weeks, just copied the number from last year. I don't know anything more than that. Summer sports camp, I left go. Pavilion rental income was a disaster this year.
Yeah.
Don't know how it'll be next year. Depends on how fast we can have bigger crowds accumulating. So that may be a blue sky number.
The use of the park for summer camp and pavilion are very iffy.
I know.
Very iffy.
Yeah.
I know
That's like
other
10
towns have their pavilions
10.
open for rental.
Yeah.
So
They do. I haven't paid attention to that. So what are they doing differently?
Nothing. I just went to one in Pauling. It was at the town pavilion.
So are we truly being restricted on it, or we got to watch the numbers of people that are in? Is it?
It would be a good number if it happened.
No, but are there precautions if we were to open it? Are there precautions that we would need to take that we're not taking? Like, do we have somebody there monitoring how
Yeah,
many people
I
are
guess
there?
that's-
count
Yeah.
the people. You
Or
got to
think
face
something like that.
masks,
And obviously-
sanitize.
Tables around and,
Yeah, obviously having the hand wash stations for the sanitizer is good.
Because like I know in restaurants you can't have more than 10 people at a table,
Yeah.
and it's got to be 6 feet apart. So you take out the number of tables that you have, so
Yeah.
you limit the spacing as far as
You don't wind up with too many people in our pavilion because it's not that big.
Yeah.
Just like you look here. I mean, this whole area down there is 18 people's worth. So that's what you would have at the pavilion.
And it's also policing it all, you know?
Yeah.
That's the problem. But, I mean, it's not, I'm not saying it won't happen, but
Yeah, I mean, my family alone has an event every year with 60
But
people, and we
meanwhile-
didn't do it this year, obviously.
Yeah.
meanwhile, if you've got the park open for swimming, et cetera, that's where your big expense is gonna come in with labor, with the lifeguards, the gate guards, the whole thing, so I guess we'll find out, you know? The first quarter of next year, we'll,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we can do a motion to specify how we want to do what, but right now, essentially, we said there's no basketball, there's no pavilion.
There's no activities at all,
Yeah. So,
People are still playing basketball down there.
Well, that's true.
except swimming.
yes, swimming we agreed to do. So, I mean, it's our decision, subject to the virus rules.
Okay,
And the other fees there, zoning and planning board, roughly a little, maybe gone up a little bit. People are going crazy building additions onto houses and stuff. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because people are buying homes to get out of the city. Sale of burial plots, I don't know. That's like one or two.
Yeah, I
That's,
thought I
do you
had a note
remember-
on that, but I didn't
Do you want
write
to
it.
give me another number?
Give me 1 minute.
I don't know.
We can come back to it if you want.
Well, no, tell me now.
Well, I thought I had a different number in a note, but I didn't. Oh, I did write it down. Yeah. So far this year, we've already done about 2,000. In 2019, we did 2,500. So,
And that's for 3 cemeteries, that's not for one.
I'm sorry. I'm talking about 2192, interment and burial. So the sale is, we can stay at 1,000.
Yeah.
But the 2 down from that.
Oh, we didn't get there
Yeah.
yet. Okay.
I would think 2,000 is a good number for that one.
You want interments and burials, 2,000?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, okay, well, I have another comment, but let's get down to the end. Interest. It's pretty tricky. Dog licenses, I don't know if we're going up or down on that. I think I just carried that. Campground fees, that sort of stuff stayed the same. We haven't done too much on driveway permit fees and things of that nature. Now, that may change next year, but I have no way of figuring it out with this negotiation with the Transco people on going over our roads with their equipment. So that if it winds up for every crossing versus a blanket, for the whole town, for whatever it is, that's in the negotiation. So I have no way of knowing it. So that number could go up, but I don't know that. Building permits have gone up because everybody's trying to live together and stuff like that. Fines and forfeiture is sort of getting back to normal, assuming that people go back to work, because traffic has been down. So with traffic down, people aren't. Well,
I don't know, the troopers are out there.
I know they're out there, but the point is, the reason they're out there is very simple. The governor needs money to balance his budget. And, every ticket they get, we get a piece of the action, and they get a piece of the action. Roughly 50-50, but it varies specifically by the type of infraction. So he's trying to get all the money he can, so hopefully this will be good. But don't know. Minor sales, this is stuff typically in the town clerk's office for odds and ends. And we're not going to get any donation, I'm sure, from Omega next year. We normally got about 20,000, so I left it out. We're not getting it this year either. So the top of the next page, the AIM payments. Normally we get from the New York State $17,000 a year. There's a question as to whether we'll only get 80% of that or we won't get it at all. Depends on how the New York State budget goes with respect to how much it's in the hole. So it's like 12 billion right now in the hole for various and sundry reasons. I won't get into that. That's their problem.
So did we get the AIM payment this year?
Not yet. Not yet.
Because you said usually received in September.
Right. We didn't get it yet. So, you know, they're holding back now. A couple of years ago when we were in a financial crisis at the state on taxes, you know, when you pay your income tax to the state, they were holding them for like 3 to 4 months just to collect the interest on all of the tax money that they were supposed to send to people. So, I don't know what the games are they're playing. All I can say is he's got 12 billion he's got to find, and he's not taking very dramatic actions to cover and reduce that number. He's living business as usual up there. The only thing he did was he did not do the 2% increase for all the state employees, but he kept a $50,000 increase for himself and some of his other friends. So that's how chaotic it is up there. It's very localized as to what they're doing. Miscellaneous income, you can see all the varieties of things. You never know what it is. The next one is mortgage tax. That one's a tricky number. Some people are paying cash, so they don't pay mortgage tax. Others do mortgages and have to pay the tax. Properties are in a seller's market right now, but that doesn't mean we get the mortgage tax. We get the
Transfer tax.
no, not the transfer. No, we get the no. There's no sales on them. We get the checking of the property record cards for violations and stuff like that.
Yeah, searches.
Title search stuff.
She's saying that if they pay cash, they don't have a mortgage tax.
Yeah. I know.
No, there's a lot of people buying cash.
but there's still a lot of people.
Okay. Now, oops. Okay, yeah. I just left the DD thing because I don't think that'll physically be done this year. It'll be a next year activity. But coming down to the next one, transfer from TA account Pleasant Plains Cemetery, that $15,300. Now, that number, as I told you before, but you maybe don't remember, is what I did was when we got the 3 cemeteries monies, I put them in 3 separate TA accounts so that we can isolate it and keep track if we ever had to worry about how did the money go and where did it go. Okay, rather than commingling it. You could commingle it, but it gets harder to follow up on. So what I do is at the end of in December, at the last meeting, like about 3 days before the end of December, I sort of figure out how much of the revenue numbers that we had here, that we brought in, and how much the expenses for the cemetery are. And I say, okay, whatever is surplus, generally we work surplus, but we don't know that until it occurs. Then I go and transfer that back to the TA account so it doesn't get intermingled in the surplus funds. So it's clean. And then this number here, where is it? 15,300 was, if you took the revenue for the cemetery and you took the expenses from the cemetery and subtracted 2, that's the difference that we had to bring over. So we added something up here someplace, I forget where. 2,000. You added yeah, $800. So I'll probably reduce this one by 800 just to balance the numbers so it stays the same. But, it doesn't matter. But
And if we didn't have to buy a mower, that would have been nice. But
yeah, so, if you buy a mower, then this number's going to have to go up. So, we take the money out of the TA account from the Pleasant Plains Cemetery and we bring it over.
okay.
So, it tends to, that mower purchase tends to be a wash as far, that's if we want it to be. If we want it to be a general fund expense, not a cemetery expense, then we have to increase the revenue for it.
Okay.
But if we want it to come from the cemetery, say it's 8,000 or whatever the number is, this number would have to be increased by 8,000.
Yeah.
And what that's doing is, that is reducing the monies that we got from the cemeteries, because all we're doing is taking it,
Yeah.
spending what we needed, whatever surplus we put it back. So it just goes back and forth.
Well, are we only using that mower for the cemeteries, or are we using it for the parks too?
That's, I don't know, that's something else.
I think it would be used for the park too, because they were using both this year.
So then we should probably take half out of the cemetery and then,
We can split the bill.
I think the parks had
Bill's-
bought a new mower just a couple of years ago, right?
That was
Yeah.
the big
And then we
deal.
bought the trailer to transport them around out of the cemetery. So we've been splitting it in a
Yeah,
way.
it could be done either way. It's just,
If we keep it in cemetery right now, I'm not banking on it, but there is a chance that they will retroactively, like the guy told us they normally don't, but they might retroactively with the grant say, okay, it was an emergency.
so,
So,
right now, I'm not putting in, unless, under expense, I'm putting in the 8,000
yeah.
for the mower, but under this calculation here, I'm not changing it until we get better definition.
Okay.
And, if we need to, we just change it, but it doesn't essentially affect, unless we use a split between rec and cemetery, doesn't affect the tax burden.
The budget that's put together is based on actuals. We really kept
Yeah.
really good numbers this year to be able to do actuals
Yeah.
this year as to what that's going to cost, other than the equipment.
So the transfer we had before, and the others just how the numbers add up at the very end on the next page. So that is all the changes that we'll be talking about. If anybody wants to go back and rethink or readjust, let me know now. And because I'm going to crank these numbers in unless we see something stupid happen, like it goes up 20% tax rate or something like that. I'm going to try to keep it down 2% or less, stay under the tax cap, and I don't know. We'll see what it looks like. I have no idea, because we have to go through all the salary stuff, because that's going to make a
Should we
a
put
change.
in a tentative, because we were talking as far as buildings and grounds for those heaters for the highway garage, the propane heaters.
But that's not even in here, right?
No, that's
No,
not
it's
in here. I have no number. Nobody.
Equipment-wise, for the equipment wholesale, that I've been researching before COVID hit, that kind of stopped, was just for the actual heaters themselves and the vent kits and stuff, the 95% efficient, high efficiency, going better than the oil, which would save on the oil, was around, at that point, was around $12,000 for the equipment, but prevailing labor to install them, hang them, we're probably talking of roughly, once we put out for bids, I'm estimating somewhere probably around $30,000. They wanted just to do when we got some bids, or a bid for the old waste oil heater, just to replace that, which was a one-day thing from one person, was over $15,000. But these are, more efficient and everything else. So, it's something that needs to be done right now. That oil furnace, if that fails, we're kind of at a limit on that.
All I need to know is it this year expense or next year expense?
Well, that's the thing, we can sit, well, I mean, if
Well, it's
we,
got to be this year expense because you need it before winter, right?
Clock is ticking, we need to do something.
well, that's what we gotta sit and talk, because we were kinda holding off on stuff and seeing what's going on. We can put out and try to get bids out, soon on that. And we need to get 3 bids. I mean, the problem is getting through to what the competitive bid process with that. I mean, I can get 3 or 4 companies come and give
We
bids,
need to do it.
to come on out and get bids on it. One of the things that I was looking at doing to save us on the markup on the equipment for that, which would save out, the town would have to set up the account, whatever, to do that. If we get the equipment at wholesale, we just bid the labor out or see if there's state bids. As of now, I didn't see any state bidding for that equipment, but it's not saying, I didn't really look that deep. See what's the best price, and then we just pay to have it installed.
Yeah, the town can pay directly to buy them,
Yeah.
okay? But we still need motions and
No, I
understand the
understand that,
process.
so-
And
I guess we'll have to take that up on the November. I mean, would it be right to put out, just to get some feelers out from, try to get 3 or 4 different companies,
you need a bid package.
Yeah, have to.
You need a bid
That
package.
would- Yeah, just put something together and see what we got. All right, so we
And,
gotta work
and,
on that.
and,
like,
and you feel comfortable it will be essentially done before the end of December, or maybe a little bit
well, that's
into
what we gotta find out.
January,
It's like
because it depends which budget cycle we put it in.
I mean, there's only 1 or 2 companies I know that would be able to get it into the schedule for before the end of this year. Everyone else, I'm in the field, so I know, and that's the problem. We're booking a couple months out right now, so I mean, it's our limited basis on who would be able to do that, be big enough to handle that.
And you only have one heater thing in there now, right?
It's the oil one. It heats the place, but the problem is that's in pretty rough shape too. So I mean, the propane, the 2 hanging units gives flexibility with that, and also it's higher efficiency. Right now, that other oil furnace is running maybe 80% at best, where the propane is going to be 95%, and it's cleaner. So I mean, that's a win-win too. It's the longevity of long-term. Thinking long-term is going to save the town over a 10-year period, 5-year period.
So I'm not putting anything in for that for
Right.
next year.
All right.
I increased propane,
Yeah,
and I
see
don't
that,
know if that's enough or what. I have no idea what these things use. I don't have propane.
Yeah.
It's not something I'm experienced with.
Well, we'll end up using more oil, definitely, because last
Well,
year...
I included more oil
So,
in here.
Ray, just out of curiosity, what was the last year's oil that you put in? Do you remember? Do you
You
have
mean
the-
in
Yeah, well-
2019?
Yeah, what was in the budget?
Oh.
The only reason is because last
I
year
know.
we had the waste oil, we were using that, and the oil, now
I
it's
put it?
definitely more. We've seen a big increase,
Yeah.
over the end of winter into spring.
Last year's oil was $8,000 budgeted.
No, not budget.
That was, I think, this
thought I-
year, that's what this year's was.
Oh, here
Oh,
it
I'm
is.
sorry, this year. You mean 2019? Yeah, okay.
Here, let me look here. I got the one right here. I just have to find it. All these things look alike.
It's
1620, yeah.
0.463.
1620. Heating oil. We spent $8,247 in 2019.
Oh, we're gonna be over this year on
I
that.
put
Be more than
8,000
that,
because I didn't know.
Yeah, we're gonna be, because we were going through it as primary heat.
Yeah, this year so far we're at 5,600.
Yeah, but I mean, we're going into it right now
Yeah, I
with
know.
the garage. I think we're gonna be, as of right now, I think, if we stay with oil going into the season, I think 8,000 is gonna be a little low.
Well, give me a number. I mean, I had no
Well,
idea.
you said last year we were around 8,200 and we're running primary. I'm thinking, I hate to say, somewhere, we're gonna add, 30% if it's primary heat. And what are they basing off with waste oil? Maybe 30% difference on that? So you're talking adding another
Like 11,000 total?
What's that?
Like 11,000 total?
For heating
I
oil?
was gonna say between 10 and 11. If we stay with primary, if we go propane, it's gonna bring the propane number up a little bit, but you know,
Well-
that'd be easier to move, but it's not gonna be as much because it'll be higher efficiency.
Yeah, as I say, I increased propane, I think, by 2,000
Yeah, I
because
see.
I didn't know. This
Well,
is not my
the good news is,
expertise.
here's the good news. If we end up going with propane over there, the propane will go up, but the oil will go down,
Understand,
but it's 95% efficient. So
yeah,
it's-
but we still use oil
No.
in the old highway garage.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying, but where most of it's getting used right now is in the main highway garage. That's you know, they're running that garage, doors open, wide open, back and forth. So I'd say tentatively, I'd figure 11,000 if we get a change that comes out.
For
and just
heating
goes over
oil,
to propane,
11,000.
Cut down the oil.
Okay. Another 3,000 increase. Propane is 4. Sound like enough?
I mean, as of now, if what's going to happen is, like I said, if we go over to propane, then obviously the oil number in that building is going to go down, the propane's going to
Yeah.
go up. What that number is at this point, like I said, it depends on what happens on that. But I mean, the good news is, looking at the propane costs and the oil costs, they're fairly close, you know, so, you know,
Right
if you
now.
transfer it on over to the other one, I don't
The
think.
propane is more efficient, correct?
Well, the units are more efficient because the units that I was looking at, they're 95%. You know, oil, like I said, is 80%. So 20% of it's going right up your chimney. So we're able to cut that down. And it's cleaner, less maintenance on it. It runs
Yeah.
more efficient. It's just, you know, it's a better product.
But can we get through the winter with what we have?
Oh, I'm sure. It just
I
need
know
to.
Todd has some concerns about that.
If we had to, the thing that I don't know when the last time it was serviced, but it should be serviced. I know he made provisions just in case for the one oil tank, the double wall that we had out for bid originally, to bring in. And I said if we had to rehook that up, that I would personally donate the time to get that set, you know, so there's no cost to the town
Okay.
on that, you know, to have that and get it going, you know, if we have to do that, just so
But
we just
that's-
have that extra storage.
But that still goes to the same furnace.
Yeah, it's basically it's a second storage tank because what we noticed at in spring or winter coming, you know, end of winter going into spring, that the oil deliveries were coming more frequently, and the supplier at that point was letting them get down low just because they weren't aware because that the change was we weren't using that waste oil furnace.
Okay.
So did you guys in the back have something to say, or you heard a monitor?
Oh, yeah. No.
Ray said before you came, if you
Yeah.
had something, so that you didn't have to stay here the whole time, you could come up and talk.
Okay.
Okay, so we're done with all the contractual stuff? Okay, and we'll go into the salary stuff.
Excuse me.
Find the right one here. Oh, here it is. I sent you a sheet. We can work off this sheet. We'll work off of this sheet. And the changes then I'll just put back into the big thing so I don't have to go all over the pages.
I have my own sheet I'll work off of.
Okay.
No, I'm fine with what I wrote all my notes on on something else, so I'm all right. I'll be able to follow.
Okay, so just so the public understands what this sheet is. Okay. I did an analysis of the adopted budgets for 2018, 2019, and 2020. Then I did a straight 2% increase for a 2021 for whatever was listed in the 2020 adopted budget. And that's both wages, that's per hour, and salary per year. And then I did a best analysis that I could of 2020, estimating the hours per week worked, weeks per year, because, for example, some people, like lifeguards, only work, I'll say, 9 weeks or 12 weeks, whatever it is. So, and then I did an estimate dollars per hour for them, or for other people, just so we could sort of measure these things on dollars per hour. Then I looked at how they all were working out, and I'll just give you an example here. Like the budget officer, that's me. If you just worked on dollars per hour, etc., I came out to $5.51 an hour, okay, just to make a measure of it. That is not really the kind of number one should see, but I'm just saying, and it goes all the way up, and it's very, very tricky to do. Then I went and I said, no, wait, and I had them all looked at it, and then I went over and did a estimated per hour. So I compared the estimated per hour here, and I ranked them and sorted them from highest dollars per hour down to the lowest. And when I did that, you know, I changed some of the numbers to try to make people consistent with their job position, etc. And I intermingled the highway, because the highway has the contract budget numbers, which are handled independent of this budget cycle. And then those who were normal salary, I took the dollars per hour that I made times the number of hours per week times the weeks that they worked, and came up with a yearly salary, so I could sort of see what's going on. So that's what this chart is, and it goes through everybody that I know of. The only one I took out was the attorneys. We've always had it in there, but we don't really control that like we control these numbers, okay? So that's what I have done. And I'm sure somebody in the board is going to say, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that. Fine. And that's where we're starting discussion. So who wants to talk first and say, you don't like what I did, or I'm overpaying, or I'm underpaying, or whatever? But that's what's here. These numbers are essentially the same numbers that are in the budget right now that we just went through. So if we reduce them, either in hours or weeks or amounts, or we increase them, then they'll increase in there. I mean, it's that kind of back and forth.
Personally, I would take, certainly as a council person, I have no problem with a 2% or no percent. I mean, that's the money is not the issue. I take issue on the amount of hours that each council person spends, 3 hours a week. I think that's understated, which would inflate their the hourly salary that you have here.
Give me a
I
number.
don't know if anybody else feels that way.
Let me interject one thing here. I think that Nancy's taken over, and thank you, Nancy, over this HR position, which was never a council person's position. So she's working far and above having to do all this HR. I think that should be another budget line.
Okay.
Whether it be Nancy or someone else, I think someone should be paid
I said that
for those HR services, because Nancy's not going to be here forever. I'm not going to be here forever. I mean, so we have to think of the future, that someone's going to have to do that duty.
I think that I agree with that. I think, you know, as a council member, you know, I believe we should have this year a freeze on our salaries for elected officials, period. But I do think the HR part, because if that was originally done within, as a supervisor or
Yeah, it was a
town
super
itself.
I did it.
position.
Or
I
I'm just
did
saying,
it.
I'm just saying wherever that is, that's one thing. But if it's going to be like on having a budget officer or having an HR officer,
Yeah.
then because I got to say, Nancy's called me up. I mean, I can't tell you 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night on stuff. You know, and I'm like, "What are you still working?" She's like, I can't sleep on it." And this year's been a really tough year to dealing with a lot of HR stuff. So we got to really look at that end of.
Now, you must realize, she's only doing part of the HR stuff.
I understand that.
No,
but
I
it's
just
still
want people to
beyond-
realize she's not doing total
On a
HR.
personal level, I don't want any compensation extra, but in the future, if someone is going to pick up a lot of the administrative stuff that you can't do or don't do, then I think as you do a future budget next year for the following year, that ought to be a consideration.
That's one of the reasons why we're trying to get a full-time
Like
secretary
disaster recovery
that can
fund,
do
right?
a lot of
All
that
these things
stuff.
that kind of fall on the floor and nobody has
Yeah,
picked it up,
this is-
all right?
this
I
is-
don't, on a personal level, I'm not looking for anything, but, I mean, Michael, how much time have you spent over the?
Cemeteries, and
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
another
Maybe another
I'm
position
definitely
that
doing.
needs
I'm
to
definitely
be-
doing more than 3 hours a week.
Averaging out to more than 3 hours. I'm just trying to say, I think 3 hours, estimating 3 hours is a low number.
Okay,
That's all.
tell me a number.
I mean, it's the same thing like when I was the chairman of the zoning revision.
Yeah.
I was definitely working more than 3 hours.
I mean,
So
there's
I
not-
understand your point is that to classify us as
Well,
3
look, we're
hours
making like
is
$31
right. I know
an
it looks
hour.
like we're making all this money an hour and we're not,
Yeah.
and that's really her point here is
Yeah.
that she
That's my
feels.
point.
Even if you double it to 6 hours
Not gonna
instead of
change
3,
our
so
salary.
it just drops from $30 down to $15. I
Right.
mean, that's what happened.
And that's her point.
I'm not arguing it, I'm just saying, this is what I did.
I know.
So
Well, I would say
it's
this.
all
I'm happy
visible.
if we want to start there. I'm happy with the council persons, the 4 of us, having a 0% raise. I'm perfectly fine with that. But I say that every year.
It's whatever you guys want.
I think we need to look at cutting because I just don't think that I think we're going to be over a lot.
So before we get to the hard ones like this one, can I just
Not
hit the
gonna change
can I hit the
bottom
low
line
hanging
figure.
fruit? Everybody here has gotten a raise, and I know it was asked for, except for people in the recreation department. They've gotten 0%.
That's what he.
I know it's what he asked for, but if everyone else is getting a 2% raise, we can't say that the lifeguards making $11 an hour are going to get 0.
It's unrealistic.
Yeah,
I
$11
agree, but
I,
that's
so
what he gave me.
so I just say that and constable.
So
too.
we'll take a freeze and we increase that.
They need 2%. Everybody in the recreation
I
department.
personally think if you doubled the amount of hours, that would be more reasonable. It's not going to affect the bottom line budget, but it does say that we're not working for $31 an hour.
As I say,
That would be
I
my-
sent this out and looking for comments, something to work from.
So it would be everything in the recreation department, and also for some reason the constable is at 0%, and I think they should all go up to 2% like everyone else.
Well, they've been changing.
Yeah, we increased, not to say that I'm objecting to what you're saying, is
Yeah.
that we adjusted when we went from an armed constable to a non-armed. So we jumped up quite a bit when we did that.
Yeah.
So all rec, 2% up.
Yes.
Okay, that can be handled. I'm just trying
That's
to.
the easy one.
That's an easy one, yeah. And,
And I think the 3 of us, or the 4 of us, have already said that we should freeze ours. So
Yeah.
freeze at 2 or no, or
freeze it at 0.
0.
at 0.
I
Okay,
have no problem
I'm
with
just
that.
trying to understand. Town board. Okay, so town board. Any other changes you want to?
Well, we're going to go
Talk
down
about-
through, right? So
Whatever you want to do, however you want to handle it. Go bottom up, top down. I don't care.
So,
They're all here.
Aside from talking about the percentages of it, which will be another conversation, when it comes to budget officer and supervisor, I don't actually understand why we have 2 budget lines for it. And I'm only saying that because if you look at New York State law, it says that the supervisor is the budget officer unless someone is appointed.
Yeah, like a controller.
Yeah, so if that person is appointed and then they end up dying or leaving or whatever, it automatically reverts back to the supervisor. So having 2 budget lines for it is an opportunity to pad the person's pay without putting it in the supervisor's pay. Like, you're going up 80% in the budget officer this year, and that's an easy way to
Budget officer, I'm going up from
I know
$5 to $10.
I know it's a small amount. I know, but I'm looking at the final numbers. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's an easy way to pad it, and
But
I'm
that-
not even arguing the final numbers. I just
Yeah.
think it should be combined into the supervisor's place, so it's one line and we know what it is. I don't understand why we have a budget officer if there isn't anybody appointed separate from the supervisor.
Why was that? I mean, this has been done.
We've
for a
always
while.
had it, and if I remember, there is the requirement you have a budget officer.
Yep. The requirement is that the budget officer is the supervisor, unless someone else is appointed to it. So I think it should just be included in the supervisor's pay, so that it's one line, it's less
Okay.
confusion, and it's more straightforward for everybody else.
Okay, you can do that.
I mean, what would unless someone else got appointed out of that, to do it. Yeah, I agree. I don't see
I don't know. I understand exactly what you're saying, but like to say that HR, I would see that as an extra line as well. So, but you're saying unless someone's extrally appointed to it, it should be all included into the supervisors.
It's always been there. Yeah.
Well, you mean if he's doing HR work
Yeah.
himself? Yeah, I mean, it's included in his job. It's what he's doing.
Yeah.
So it's just included in the pay. Now, if he hires somebody to do HR, well, then, that's
Yeah.
a separate line for a separate
And
employee.
what's the chances of someone? Has it ever done in the town that someone other than the supervisor has done the budget? I mean, has it been at one point where a council member was appointed as a budget officer?
Do not know of that.
Not in 30 years.
Not since '92, or maybe '85. I don't recall.
So that's the thing. If we never have a separate budget officer, then why are we having separate budget lines? Let's just put it in one place.
The only thing is if we do like an HR line, as we were saying before,
No, then yeah.
does that set up that we have precedence on doing breaking?
Well, no, because the supervisor is the budget officer in state law.
No, I understand that, and I remember that in the class in January when they were talking about that.
It just gives us one place to look at it instead of trying to merge the two and see what the actual numbers are.
I have no objection. Put it together. So I just fold those numbers up into the top
So
wherever
it
it
would
is.
be, where is it? Supervisor, budget officer.
Yeah.
So it would be 44 hours, 52 a week. 52.
Well, it can't be 44. That's overtime. If you put 44,
Yeah, so 40 hours, you always say.
Yeah.
And then you just combine the.
when you
Hey,
combine
you'll
the
get
two
your
of them,
hourly-
it comes out to 40.
Yeah, I know. But then I'm saying then combine
The dollars.
The dollars, and
Yeah.
why am I doing this by hand? 39,520.
Okay.
So that comes
Any
out
other
to
suggestions?
39,520 divided by 40 hours. So your hourly,
Come down something because I don't know what it'll come down to. I don't know. I got to find out what it is to start with.
it would come down to 1895.
Yeah, as much as the clerks make. So I make as much as a clerk. So what? Any other comments?
So now, I mean, are we following that same precedent with, let's say, Carol having separate lines?
There are certain functions she's got.
Well, that's what I
have
want to know.
separate.
Yeah.
We did merge one, I forget which one it was. One of them was,
We used to have a line for records management.
Yeah,
officer
right.
because we were like super busy in that.
Plus
At
we
some
were,
point,
plus we were scanning and doing all
Merged
that
that,
stuff
yeah.
too.
We had a lot of projects going on.
we merged
so,
those.
Yeah, but we merged those.
So,
Then we still have vital statistics,
Yes.
right?
Right.
but that's a separate,
Vitals has always been separate.
and it's a separate function.
Right, and the town clerk is not automatically the registrar of vital statistics. So it is a separate item from the
Okay.
state.
So what you're saying is we're working toward full-time government,
Certain positions.
really? I mean,
Yeah, I kind of
Full-time-
object to that anyway, but
full-time
that's,
supervisor, full-time town clerk,
And a full-time ZBA planning.
who else?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying.
I mean, by
And then Todd
definition-
and all the highway
By
guys.
definition, the secretary's full-time. By definition, the zoning and planning is full-time,
Yep.
right? I mean, it's fine if that's what we're working toward.
I would
Yeah.
say that it makes me uncomfortable because you see these giant jumps in the
yeah,
numbers.
they're huge.
They are. But at the same time, we might be a small town, but that doesn't mean the people in this town want a part-time government.
Well,
They want a government that's going to be there for them when they need them, and if that means
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a full-time government, then
I mean, I get calls at home all the time. And the other thing,
and these numbers are hard to look at. I agree.
and the other thing is I notice is every year the highway automatically gets their increase every time the things go. Every year we fight over the wages of the general fund employees, which is the ones that we haven't talked about previously. We sacrifice them. That's not the way government should be. It's demoralizing. It makes it hard to keep people. We have lost people over the years, very qualified people, and you're just going to not be sustaining
And I think the
government.
objection is that you're putting yourself as full-time. I do not begrudge anybody, and we tried to make up, with a 3% increase here and there when we can,
Yeah.
and we've always done the 2% as we've done the highway. The objection here is that we're now making the supervisor's position from a part-time to a full-time, and
You want
that's
it?
where the objection is. I mean,
Okay, well, very simple.
So here's kind of where because I've said this to a lot of people and probably everyone in this room, that I feel, one, as elected officials, we're coming in, I guess when you start seeing bigger salaries coming in, then we start having more career politicians kind of come in, and that wasn't really back in the day. It was you come in, do your term or a couple terms, help out, and go back and do your
you go
civilian
farm the
job.
field, and then you come in and
Yeah, and you come in there and help, and that's kind of like, when I got involved, it wasn't about the money, it was about doing what's right for the town. I seen things that I might be able to be beneficial to. I do agree, compared to if we're looking at some of the salaries that, from compared to other towns, we are low. I do understand the fact that there is other things that are requirements that are required, the state is pushing down, that kind of changes some of the dynamic. My concern is, we've seen when talking to Nancy on some of the individual salaries for the employees that work here that are not elected officials are definitely lower than what a lot of the other towns, and we're trying to work through and at a pace where we're not jumping up the tax rates
Right.
and the levies and stuff, but we recognize that issue. My concern is to start making big jumps over 1 year is problematic. I think it doesn't look right in the eyes of our
especially when we're looking at a budget,
I mean, I
crunch.
do see that there could be some changes and stuff, but I can't see a huge jump.
We're also
going.
A factor that enters into this is an elected official is considered exempt in terms of salaries and number. You don't have to work 40 hours, okay? You work what the job requires, all right? So if you calculate 40 hours a week for 52 weeks, that to me is inflated. All right, some weeks you'll work 60 hours maybe, and other weeks you might not work more than 10, all right? It's not a guarantee that 40 hours a week is going to happen across the board for 52 weeks. When you equate that to money, is that a fair equation? That's all I'm saying. Okay? I understand that some of these jobs require that kind of time, but it's just a factor to consider.
And I do want to
Exempt by law.
I do want to acknowledge that, I've seen, Ray's car here while on certain longer hours doing stuff, so I'm not diminishing anything that, Ray has done, or, as far as time goes in here, by any means.
So for the supervisor position combined right now, if we combine the budget officer in this, it's at $39,520. I looked at just the surrounding towns.
Okay.
That's more than Red Hook and Rhinebeck, which are bigger towns that have. In fact, the only town that's higher than this is Pleasant Valley, and that supervisor is taking a pay cut in his budget proposal this year.
Yep.
And
So
what-
this
what
would
is-
make us the highest paid supervisor of the surrounding towns. I don't know if you get further into Dutchess how that is, but it's the ones that touch us and border us.
And Pleasant Valley has a commercial district, which
Yes.
we do
Yeah,
not,
that's
so.
correct.
And yeah.
Right.
So I mean,
guess
I don't
my question
begrudge
is-
the increase. I think it's just too much of an increase.
My question is, do we work toward that number, or do we approve that number?
I'll give you a realistic thing. For the last 3 or 4 months, I've been here from 9 to anywhere from 7 to 8 on the budget and COVID things and all the HR stuff that's happening that I got to process. Now, I don't care. You want me to work a half a day? I'll work a half a day. I can easily
It's
do
not
that. I
personal,
just
then.
leave at noon.
Yeah, Ray, it's not
not
personal.
personal.
Like,
No, I'm
I-
just,
I
no,
recognize
it's
that.
for,
Ovic has added a whole new dynamic.
you just, no, you want to cut the cost of my function. You cut the cost by cutting the hours, and I will only work half a shift. That's all. I don't care. That's what you want. I can do that. But things are not going to get done, I'll tell you that right now, because you have to be here to get the phone calls, to get the emails on grants, on requirements from Albany and stuff like that. For example, I get letters from the unemployment people, Department of Labor up there. I just got one today. It was mailed, no, it was dated on, let me get my dates right, the 10th of this month. I got it today, the 15th. I was supposed to have the answer back by the 10 days from their date, which says I have to come in here all weekend, try to find all the information, write the letter, and fax it up so they have it so I meet their schedule. And if you're not here, you would not see it. So, I mean, this is realistic, and we got a lot of Department of Labor issues that I spend a lot of time on trying to save the town money on unemployment and retirement and all kinds of craziness.
So the problem with that argument
Yeah.
The problem with that argument is that it sounds like a threat. Can you imagine if any of us said, well, you told me we're only 3 hours a week, so I'm only going to work 3 hours a week. That's all you're going to get out of me.
Well,
Because all of us do much more than that. Because we understand what the job is, and we understood when we ran for the position and got elected to the position what it paid and what it entailed.
the job never required being here till 7, 8 at night for months on end. Never did. We didn't have the COVID thing. We
Oh,
didn't.
that's true.
We didn't have the confusion of the budget. Almost all the numbers in the budget I made up because
What I'm
nobody
not- what
fed
I'm
me
saying
numbers.
Is
Yeah.
recognize what you're saying,
Yeah.
but do we jump from here to there, or do we find a place in the
middle
middle, knowing that we're going to get there at some point, okay? Because we haven't gone through everything yet.
I know.
And chances are we're going to be over and we're going to have to make cuts. And I say,
I mean, what you're telling us is that your office is going to be available and open from Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. That's what you're saying, that
And when we call your voicemail, it's never going to say the mailbox is full.
Yeah.
people are going to be able to walk in the door and visit you. I mean, that's really, when you're talking about having a full-time government, that's what you're offering.
Can I say something? I'm sorry to interject. I just want to give facts. You all are working so hard, and I could vouch for all of you. You're giving beyond, and that's very nice of you guys to not to get any salary up. But with regards to the supervisor, he is here every single day. I would always joke to him, are we the two of us full-time position here? Because he is here from morning to like 6, 7. We're like, we have to really like. Anyway, point of the matter is, I think the supervisor runs the town. He has to oversee everything. This is, I think, the last term that he got. So it's not just him. It's the position that you're trying to make it. Whoever is the next supervisor, we're going to be doing the same full-time position. He runs the town. He does all the stuff. So, I mean, I guess if you really don't agree, he's going to have to leave at 12 o'clock, whatever is undone. That's what's just going to have to do. But if the job needs to get done, I guess you're going to have to be there. That's all. But I think that all of you are really doing a great job beyond. It's like you guys are like volunteer for what you're doing. And we really appreciate you.
And that's part of, I think that's part of,
Thank you.
what our positions are. Like I said, coming there. And like I said, I got to say it again, Ray, I know you're getting a little offensive, and I am the one person that drives by all the time, and I see, and I appreciate, you going the extra, staying here late and doing what you do. And my concern is this year, if we weren't dealing with the potential of shortfalls and trying to figure out like stuff that we're looking like on the highway side, chips reduction, we got stuff to still do here, how are we going to be able to pay for all this other stuff that's going on? I'm just trying to find, I guess I kind of agree with Mike on this one and Dean, is there a way to, bring it up over, if this is just a rough year, 2020, at a different
Yeah, and the COVID is hopefully a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and,
It's going to be in existence It's going to be in existence next year.
So
we'll see about that. But, so just even to follow the history. So Carol's office gave you work, so we made you secretary full-time. You gave the work back to Carol.
Some.
I mean, you still want a full-time secretary, and you want to go full-time yourself. I mean, I just, it's kind of like we're increasing Carol because she took on more work, and then we're giving you more. It doesn't add up to me. That's really the bottom line.
What are some of the other, just out of curiosity, what are some of the other salaries in some of the comparable town? I mean, Red Hook's got, obviously, business district. We have limited.
Red Hook, I think, is at 31 this year. I don't have the numbers in front of me.
For the supervisor.
But the Milan was at like 15.
Yeah, well, Milan is even
Yeah,
smaller.
but that's a more comparable town to us than Red Hook.
If you
Right.
have comparable population, it's a good way to look at
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Because then you're managing similar amounts of, like,
Yeah, Milan's 2,300. We're 4,300. Amenia is 4,400.
Washington, Stanford, Unionvale,
Yeah.
all about 4,000 people like us.
Yeah.
And what are the do we know what those salaries are at that point?
So Unionville was like 20,000. Stanfordville was 15,000. Washington was 16,400. I mean, these are a couple of years old. This is not last year's. So when I did a study a few years ago, I got all the towns and I did that comparison with the
Which
population.
I do think those numbers are low by.
Amenia was
today's standards.
23,000.
The other factor you got to look at is how long are they at the office?
Well,
Some of them are
duty's a
not
duty.
there every day.
If one person takes longer to do the same duty, that's on you. I mean, not to be rude about it, but
So I would say this, right now, combined, your salary in the budget officer is 24,367. You're asking for 39,520. I don't know, 30?
There's no one on this board or in this town is going to deny the amount of
Yeah, we all know how much
time
you
that
work.
you put
Understand.
into this job. And like almost all the jobs in the town, there's more and more laid on us and no time to do it. Okay, so it's not personal and it's not meant that way. What I am saying, just from my point of view, is to jump from here to there is a heck of a big jump. Not that it isn't justified, but in the year we're coming into, where we're getting 15 and 20% cuts, worried about the tax cap, worried about all this stuff, I just think we got to find a happy medium.
It's difficult for me to think that of the 4,000 people in this town, a good deal of them haven't worked in 7 months. And now we're going to give a giant pay raise to the supervisor when those people haven't seen anything.
Well, it's not a giant, I mean, if you look at dollars per hour,
In theory, you're right, yes, but.
if I look at dollars per hour, it's less than clerks make.
Yeah, but in theory, the number from what it was, and that's the tough
Yeah, well,
part of it.
Yeah, this analysis was supposed to be done several times over the last 3 years. This is the first time I brought it out because it wasn't done.
Well, the old supervisor of Pleasant Valley, Mark, he had asked all the towns
Oh, no, I know that.
contribute the information. A lot of towns didn't contribute, but that's where I got the numbers
Yeah,
from.
I
Mark
got that
actually did
too.
the work, and
Yeah, I got
and
those.
so I got the spreadsheet.
I
and
got-
I continued on. The next year, I would try to find other people's budgets and add up the numbers. So,
But I'm just saying, we never did this kind of an analysis
and we
of
should,
our
and,
people.
and it's a good thing that you did.
That's all I'm saying.
So
Yeah. If you hadn't done this and you wanted to make this jump, I wouldn't be saying 30. I'd be saying a lot less. I'm glad you did this.
What's the percentage now if you work these numbers of income?
I don't know what you mean. It's different for each one. Some are 2%,
That's
some
the
are...
supervisor
Well,
side,
I can
or-
tell you. Give me.
Because last year we tried to, compensate by giving you a 3% increase. I mean,
Yeah,
we've
it
been,
was a smidgen.
we've been giving you, let's say a little bit of recognition and knowing that you're doing more. And
If we stick with these numbers, it's a 62.
it?
It's a 62% increase if we stick with these numbers.
Yeah, I'm going from this year at $11.16 an hour up to $20 an hour next year was what I put in the budget. Except when you add in the other one, it comes down to $18.50 an hour, which is, go down to the list here and you'll see that's less than most secretaries make.
Now, I guess my next
I guess my
question-
job is not that critical.
I guess my next question is, in some of the neighboring towns, does the supervisor have a full-time secretary? I don't know. I'm just trying to get all the information. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not
Some
trying
do, some don't. It's a mixed bag.
Chris, many
Okay.
do, and you know what, they're not a clerk or a secretary.
Yeah.
And they're really like an executive secretary, board secretary, and they function in a different way, more as an administrative,
Assistant.
liaison with
Yeah.
the town attorney. They're like a little bit of a different level. So they are full-time, many of them.
And
Even though the supervisor is part-time.
really part-time, like 3 days a week, and only in the morning.
So it's almost like a town manager, even though it isn't. Like it's.
But these towns also they have a bookkeeping department, they have a
Yeah.
human resources department.
Yeah.
And so we have one office
That does it all.
that really is the clearinghouse for everything.
Well, that was one of my arguments years ago, was that, when we talked about the budget officer and we were sending out our stuff to the woman in Texas who moved down there, that we should have brought that function internally and have, the supervisor secretary actually provide that bookkeeping extra,
Jeff did that.
I know.
Jeff brought, and it worked
Right.
nicely. I mean, it was fine.
I will devil's advocate on that one. I heard an argument from someone else that just having that done outside the bookkeeping service, like all the payroll taxes and all those other things, which we all run our own businesses, we know how annoying that can get. It's nice to have Ben Nordstrom and Houlihan doing it.
Well, here's my thought on
You're
it.
not going to do it
because
cheaper.
Yeah.
When I have to give, if I write out everything and I say, here, write these checks, it's twice as much work than me just doing
Yeah.
it and typing the checks right then and
Sure,
there.
but the filing requirements, I mean, the
Well, I
quarterly
understand.
filing requirements.
I'm not talking about Houlihan. I'm talking
Yeah.
because they have to still do their audit and everything else.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the bookkeeping function
Oh, yeah,
that we,
that we're doing internally, yeah.
So I just think 50% is, I don't know how we defend it. Regardless,
The 62%, yeah.
yeah, 52. I mean,
62,
62.
you know?
So,
It's hard to say we're going to raise people's taxes during this time to cover a 62% increase.
there has to be something less and still recognize the amount of effort.
I mean, because even taking the, I mean, so when we look at the fact that we went from last year at 2.1, or the year before from 2.17 to 2.18, we only increased the tax by 1 cent.
Mm-hmm.
But this year we're looking at a 6 cents
Yeah.
increase. So
That had the library in it.
that's
so-
why I said not having
Yeah.
the actual numbers, it's hard for
It's
me
hard.
to justify making these dramatic expense increases.
And I think it's because of what I stated earlier. It is an exempt position to say that you should be, I know you're breaking it out hourly, but it's not an hourly
Oh,
salary
I understand, but that's the
position.
only way you can compare
I
what people are
understand.
getting.
I understand, but when you do that, and you look at the percentage that we're talking about, I just think it's too high in one jump.
I know you all four of you, are going to reduce it. I know that, no matter what I say. So I accept whatever you want to do.
It is not true. It is not true.
I think we're trying to figure out a way.
We're trying to find a happy medium.
What I guess the first thing that I'm thinking here, and I don't know what the feasibility, because this is my first run through, sitting on this side of it, is to see what the real, as with the changes that we made as of today on some of them, and also by however the library ends up pulling out and affects the actual number on that, because I guess that's kind of
We've been spending a lot of that money
Yeah.
in increases that
With
we
the
talked
building and other
about.
stuff, yeah.
yeah, no, I know. So I'm wondering what that puts us, how much over at that point, or
It'll probably be just like the numbers we saw before,
probably be about
because you're filling in the gap.
before to see.
Yes, but those numbers at least included these big jumps.
Yes, they did. And
So,
I make no bones about it.
Yeah.
I told you, this
So
is
we can
what I
reduce
put
that.
in there. Yeah. You go line by line or person by person, or just say, okay, cut me, add to the rec and whatever. Don't put town board, and just leave it at that. And there the numbers are right there.
I don't know what you want to do.
what percentage increase would you guys feel comfortable with?
I mean, if we're basing off of over a 2-year or 3-year plan to bring it up to, I mean, the goal is to figure out what really, and my thing is not so much on the elected officials, it's more on the hourly, bringing that into the realm for people that don't have other jobs or this is their job. So I'm taking a different approach on that. I mean, 62% I think is a very high jump for 1 year in this, and I think it sets a bad example on this. So I don't.
I just don't see any other supervisors, and I know that, I've talked to both Frank, the current supervisor in Pleasant Valley, and Mark, the old supervisor, and they've all said that they're working full-time, and
Yeah.
even though they're being paid in their estimate as part-time, and so that is certainly clear throughout most of the county, maybe not bigger towns like the town of Poughkeepsie or Wappingers, where they have a huge budget, but in the smaller towns, most supervisors are part-time.
Okay. I mean, I can fill that bill. I can be part-time. That's not difficult. With an occasional 8-hour day, but I've been doing it for months.
I think
And
personally,
this is unreasonable. I
Yeah.
did not sign up for a full-time position.
I think if you took half that increase, it would still be a good size increase for the first year.
whatever.
31% would be 31,920.
That's including the budget officer?
Yeah, you combine them.
Okay, that's, yeah, all right then. I'm kind of coming close to that.
So it's your choice on whatever you want to do.
It's not personal, it's business.
Certainly not.
Oh, I know. That's why I said it's
What
your
do you
choice.
think of that, Dean? I haven't heard on that one.
I'm just gonna do
What would that number be?
plus the budget. Where's the budget here? Adopted.
So it would be combine the two and make it a 31% increase? Which still is...
What is it?
I said, so you'd combine the two lines and make it a 31% increase? Is that what
So
we're
that would take
saying?
$11.16 times.
So the number you came up with, Mike, was
Yeah.
31. What was it?
31,920.
Okay, that's I just want to clarify. That's
And that would be combined between budget officer and supervisor. So it would be one line.
Yeah, combining is not the problem.
Yeah, I'm just, for clarity's sake.
So what did you come up there with it?
31,920.
31,920. Now, is that full-time or part-time? I'm just asking.
Well, if we make it part-time, your hourly is going to look great.
Just asking.
I mean, one of the things that I learned.
Well, the whole thing with all these elected positions is
Yeah.
we don't punch a clock.
Yeah, so full and part-time doesn't really...
I mean, you could technically not even show up.
Exactly.
The only
Oh,
ones
yeah.
get thrown out. I mean, that's one of the things that I learned in that class, but it just wouldn't look right.
But
It's not right, ethically.
But I tell you, if I'm not here and you guys call or I miss things and stuff, I will never hear the end of it because you're
No, it is-
expecting me to be here all the time.
You know, there's some things too, they might be little things, but they take a lot of time that you
Oh.
do, that you can offload to somebody, all right?
Oh, you want to deal with the Department of Labor on all of these unemployments and everything else, which is an HR issue.
But if we work through a few of those things, you got maintenance person who could deliver the mail, a maintenance person who could do this. I know you do that stuff, but it's not, it's time consuming and it's not necessary that you do it.
No, I have
If it
others
It
too.
buys you an extra hour a day, you can apply it towards some things that are overwhelming you, okay? I was trying to work
Yeah, no,
to help you, not to
No,
go
no, no.
against you. All right?
I
So
mean-
maybe we could figure a few of these things out. You know, you get the keys made, okay? Somebody could get the keys made. It doesn't have to be you. I know you're very dedicated.
when I get the keys made, I normally get them made when I'm on a trip to that location, so it's not a separate run.
You could let go of a few things,
Oh, yeah.
and it would help you. All right?
Just let's just talk to another thing because I guess this was something that kind of throws into the thing, the HR part of this whole thing. As far as that for going for future planning, either
Right.
this cycle or, for the following year after on that. I mean, if that's going to be, a certain chunk of that taken up by another person or as a separate line.
Maybe in time, there is an AA position that handles a lot of the stuff that he doesn't have to handle. An administrative person. I'm not saying that next year, but maybe in time,
Oh,
as you
yeah.
work through this, it makes sense. At a lot lesser salary, but it would unburden that position a little more. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. So what do you think? Right?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay.
I mean, I think it's a good start from where, in the direction. I think it's easier to justify this than the bigger number. And like I said, it's just, and I do agree with some of the consent, I know a lot of people up here, and some of them are my clients, some are friends, some are just constituents that really don't even know when they're going back to work down in the city, and you know, they're struggling. So I think it just it sets an example for us understanding as elected officials. I think that's the biggest thing with that I want to, you know, get across to people that we're trying.
Okay.
If we had a huge revenue and not a lot of other stuff to go on, then it'd be a different story. But it's not. This year's definitely not that year.
Okay. Now, we'd have about Carol, the clerk.
Well, let's finish up on the supervisor's office. I mean, so we're still going with a full-time, one-person, two-person for secretary, or?
Do full-time secretary.
So again, is the office going to be open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5? I mean, that's,
Or typically Saturdays, we've been, not Saturdays, Fridays we said we've been closed and people have been coming in just for the mornings, not for the whole day. But, you know,
Well,
it's whatever we want to do.
I'm just saying if the town people are paying for full access, they should have full access. I mean, that's, you know.
is the jump pretty much on the same principle as what we just talked about? And if it is, what would be, if that's not the number, then what would be the percent?
Well, my concern was not so much the pay, because the pay was the pay. It was the hourly was increased solely for the fact that all these extra responsibilities came over to Ray's office, and then, Ray gave some of those things back to Carol. So do we really need that full-time? I was begrudging the full-time to begin with last year when we approved it. So now that we're not having the same reasons for having the full-time, that's what was my concern as to whether we still need that full-time position.
Well, there is a considerable amount of work that has been transferred over. That's very time-consuming. That I feel is fact. But again, what's the percentage of the jump here? Michael, you got the calculator.
Which one are we talking about? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
who you talking?
Which line?
Supervisor, secretary.
Yeah.
Or town clerk, which one were you talking about?
The supervisor, secretary.
Oh,
So let's
Well,
finish
it's hard
up
to know
supervisor's
because
Oh,
it's in the. Well, I have to look
Hourly.
on another thing. It's an hourly to a salary, so it's hard to.
Well, so we're saying we're basing off of how many? What was the full-time rate we were basing that off on?
No.
Well,
Again, the rate is
Hours
not the
haven't
concern. It's do we justify full-time hours?
Yeah, because it would be last year it was
Well-
16 hours. Now you're saying 32,
yeah.
and going from 1873 to $19 an hour. So it's
I don't begrudge the 19. I'm
the
talking about
19.
the
I'm
hours.
fine too. So the increase in hours is 100%, doubles it.
Yep.
what's the percentage?
Well, the increase in hours is doubling it. It's 100%.
It's not an increase according to this.
Well, if you look at his
Yeah.
spreadsheet,
It was estimated 38. It still is 38.
no, last year it was estimated at 16 hours per week, right?
Yeah.
Secretary
For the
does
secretary,
supervise.
yeah, then
Yeah,
about-
and now it's estimated at 32 hours per week for this year, or for 2021. So it's a double.
Can we get away with 25 hours on that? I mean, how's it working right now? Because Carol took on some of the stuff back, right? That was the thing we were working with last time.
I think
It's such a difficult position because it's been in such flux. Like
There is no
been
one.
full time. It's been trying to replace someone, then bringing in Samantha for a little while to help out, and then she's working from home right
Yeah.
now. So I mean, the whole thing is completely in flux.
And,
It's hard to know.
trying to interview people, and if we're going to change it to 15 hours, I got to tell the people that I interview that it's 15,
No, I
because
think
I've
the
been saying
full-time
it's
was the-
32, is what I've been saying.
I mean, some of us don't agree, but it didn't cost us any more. It was a transfer. That was fine.
I mean-
And I think it makes sense, and she is here all day long, I know. So, and
Who's
so
that
that
you
means she can handle more of the workload that's been given to her, but it is a very heavy workload.
Mm-hmm.
And with no secretary, and we don't know when we're going to have one, it could be a lot more.
I'm
Not
hoping
that-
to have one
not that your
by the
clerical support
next-
isn't there today.
town board meeting.
So I mean, if we're saying that it's a full-time office, 8 hours a day, 4 days a week is the 32. I mean,
I mean, the one thing I'm going to say, which does make it tough, is so, and I'm going to say this straight across the board on kind of blanket some of the other positions that are non-elected positions, trying to find qualified people for like 16 or 19 hours a week.
It's difficult.
It's you're not going to get someone that's going to split, on that to do that. So I gotta, and there's a couple other ones that we got to talk about in here that kind of fall into that. So, the workload, I do agree with Nancy on certain things. There's a certain amount of workload to do stuff. It's just, it's the concern on, we are going more towards a full-time town. And which is, look, as a person that works in multiple towns and working with some of the part-time towns, trying to get information done that I need, which is very, very difficult. And I work with, I work in every town in this county and some over in Ulster and Orange. So when I go in there and it's on limited basis, it is a problem. And in today's day and age,
But it's still common.
it's common. That's correct. It's common. It's a nuisance.
So if you had her salary in parity with raise, is increase, would we figure
But we're not
that
talking about a
percentage?
salary increase. We're talking about what is the justified hours? Is it
For the secretary.
16? Is it 25? Is it 28? Is it 32? I mean,
Well,
what
he's
is
got
what is the hours that are required for the
20,
position?
38 hours.
No, it's 32 on his sheet.
he's got 32 on his sheet.
Yeah,
For the secretary.
secretary.
Secretary is supervisor secretary.
Am I reading this wrong?
It's hard to find.
It's
sort of in the
he's
very
got
middle.
it written as hold on. Secretary to supervisor. Go
Under the clerks to justices.
right here.
Oh, you're talking I was talking Carol.
Oh,
Hello?
it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Is 32 hours enough? Is basically, or is it too much?
There's a lot of stuff that's not being done.
Because right now Sam is working 2 days from home. Why is she's working 2 days from home? Because of
Family problem,
family issues, right?
family issue.
Yeah.
And she'd prefer not to. So I'm
That's
trying to
in the
find
interim till we
somebody.
find someone. Okay?
So, and we're going to need a transition time.
And the definition of what Carol has taken on, does that remain the same? Or does it change when
Well, we're
he
just
gets
dealing
the
on clerk
secretary
right now,
in?
so.
No, but some of it is linked together, Dean. Some of it is because when we made a change with the clerk's position was because of the secretary of the supervisor.
Right, the justification of why we made
Justification, so
Yeah.
that
Sam
kind of
full-time was
that-
for
to change some of the hours and stuff
Yeah.
on what needs to be done.
Right.
So,
I mean, we're talking things like more the personnel, I don't do all the personnel.
no, I understand that.
We're talking audits, we're talking.
Certifications.
working with Civil service, we're talking with.
Retirement.
A whole bunch of stuff that Carol doesn't do and shouldn't have to do, okay? And that has to stay with the secretary.
It's very fluid.
Right.
Between the supervisor and the town clerk is very fluid. And interestingly, when I had no support from the town board, the town clerk should have been full-time 10 years ago. I mean, look at every other town. That's just my personal opinion by the work that I have. At some point, I just didn't do it, and I said, Ray, here, everything that I've taken on when the town board has let other people go, I gave back to Ray, and in 3 months, you made her full-time. other towns. Yeah, so there is a fluidity, Nancy, and especially with Samantha not here, Big Sam, as we call her. I'm helping a lot with personnel. I'm and there is a very simpatico relationship between the supervisor and the town clerk in every town.
We know that,
Yeah, and especially here.
yeah.
So
The other thing about full-time for you, as I see an advantage, is that once COVID goes away, you got more face time with the public, okay?
and I'm having a lot
Having
of
done that work at home was great, but the availability of the clown clerk was limited.
Yeah.
So there is an advantage.
I don't want to hijack the discussion over supervisor, but where the town clerk is concerned, one of my major responsibilities is records management, and I plan to go for a grant. And it's been low on the list of priorities, and if you've taken a look at the underneath the stairwell, at the records room that we have and the potential records room that we have, it needs a tremendous amount of attention. And that is one of my goals. So that's sort of a statutory requirement of the town clerk, separate from personnel and HR and payroll and longevity and just all the other things, the website, MailChimp, all these other tasks that make sense. It's all public information. It's all really what the town clerk does. But the records management aspect in terms of my job will really make it blossom to that really full-time effort.
Yep.
Because there's so much to do and so much to manage.
So, I mean, I guess the thing then that might be able to, in my eyes, to justify is if we're taking, you're taking on more with some of the stuff you're taking back at that point, then the secretary side of that could definitely come down, and if that's going on your side, that's where I see a way to justify.
When you look
the
at,
time.
right now, the physician, one very critical physician, in my opinion, is not there. That's support to him.
Look,
So a lot of that,
I agree.
right now, it's difficult to look at what she does and what she's taken over in relationship to this because it's temporary. Sooner or later, we're going to redefine who gets what again.
Well,
All
I'll
right.
have the vouchers, I'll keep the vouchers, payroll is half and half right now. I've
Right.
done it for 10 years.
Right.
That was one of the things I gave back to Ray because it really is a bookkeeping function. Basically, when no one else wants to do anything, the town clerk does it. And we accept it.
Right.
We're loyal, we accept it, we accept what we can't change.
Yeah.
And I think it makes sense for vouchers, sending out checks, payroll to all be in the town clerk's purview. Our bookkeeper is off-site, so either one of us can work with the bookkeeper. But we will define that better, but the way things are now, working, again, are going to stay that way.
So can I throw another little wrench into this when it comes to this secretary to the supervisor? Last year we did approve 31,846 for this position. She's not using that much because the hours have been nuts. But the proposed this year is less than what we had last year budgeted for it. It's actually a decrease. Well, the total
Yeah.
money going out would be a
Right.
decrease.
Yeah, because we had a new person come in. We had somebody go out and somebody come in.
Yeah, I understand. So I'm just saying that the budget hit
Yeah.
necessarily to that position is lower.
Well, the reason it was lower, I made a mistake. I hired her at $16 an hour, okay? And I had a big battle to get it up over to 18, okay? Which is still not what she should be getting. She should be getting more.
I'm agreeing with you.
So that's why the number is low. That was why the number was low
Yeah.
last year.
Well, there's a certain level of autonomy and professionalism and experience that goes with that job. She has got to, she or he, I don't want to be sexist about this, comes into that job and they really have to own most of what that job is, all right, and independent of him. And that you got to pay for that. So you're not going to get anybody for less than that kind of money.
Yeah, I think the 19 an hour is fine, and I think it will take 32 hours.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But if you look at that salary on an annual basis versus what we just said raise is, we're still out of skew, okay? But we're working toward
You're
getting
saying the secretary of supervisor is still out, meaning it's still low?
No, it would mean the supervisor would only be making $300 more per year than the secretary to the supervisor.
I mean, look, I'm not saying I
Well, that's
disagree
based on
by
if
any
they both
means.
work the same amount of hours.
Yeah, if they both, yeah. Ding, ding, ding.
So, tell me what we're going to do about the clerk's salary.
Which clerk?
Well, I mean, everybody got a 2%, so
That's given.
I think I'm okay with everybody getting a 2%. It's just the ones that stand out is really where I thought our focus needed to be. And other than Michael bringing up the recreation didn't get anything,
Yeah, well,
so we adjusted for that.
Yeah. So then, the only ones left that we've dealt with, supervisor, the only ones left are town clerk and ZBA clerk.
2% is what you're saying?
Well, we all.
Well, that's what he put in for. Everybody got 2% increase.
Yeah.
So there is one other thing. I mean, as far as the highway clerk,
yeah.
what's that?
Well, the only
No, I
thing
said yes.
Yeah. So I mean, you know,
yeah.
that's as
the
far
only
as.
thing- I will have by Monday or Tuesday what she does, and you can decide if she gets 3 additional hours. Her salary is not going to change except for
No,
that.
I agree with that part because we spoke about that. I'm just saying, as far as the time goes, if we're looking time for what needs to be done and the requirements,
Right.
that's what I think we have to have. So that's.
No, and that's really my point is, whether it's 32 or 28 or 25, is what does the job, and whether it be, you know, the highway, whether it be the town clerk's clerk, or whether it be, you know, Ray's clerk, what does the job
The
require?
description, yeah. But you know, we also have to look at, you know, and this has been one of my concerns when we started talking about some of the job descriptions of what was in the past, comparing either apples and oranges, because I think there's been certain changes over the past few years that the state has put down on that, and it's not so much. Look, I'll be the first person to say I want the smallest government possible. You know, I want, you know, that's I'm not about big spending. I do understand the need of getting qualified people to do certain things on that as well. So there's a balance in what we are, because we were down to a part-time town from years ago, and I'm not going to put blame or anywhere why things have changed and been out of whack, but we are where we are. So if we're going to start doing changes, it's going to have to be over a slower period of time to do that. I just can't see us doing it in one lump sum right, you know, in this year. And I'm fine with having a 2-year plan or a 3-year plan to get the numbers up.
We were supposed to be doing this for the last 3 years, and
But
we
it
haven't.
wasn't- But it was. See,
So I just forced the issue this year.
So here's the other thing that I look at as a owner of a business. I always take my crew and I say, okay, I'll do an evaluation, and we have never, from what I've seen in here, no one sits down on a yearly or semi-annually evaluation, which should be a person within the supervisor, or whatever. That's the person who's running day-to-day operations, to evaluate how things are going and are we in the right point. Now, we waited, you know, for 3 years. We've been going on this path of not making these changes. You know, look, a lot of stuff is time consuming. I get it. You know, I think it's having a plan we're gonna end up setting whatever here is gonna be the plan to build off of, but it's having a reasonable that we can justify.
What's 20%
Of which one are we talking about now?
for Carol? What's the
For-
same as,
Um,
yeah, just, I know Dean doesn't agree.
Let me see.
Just, what's the figure?
20%?
20% of what?
Well, I gotta find it here.
I don't know what he's
The
doing.
28,932
All right.
versus
It
40.
would be 34,718.
What are the other towns?
Yeah.
Dean, do you have those numbers?
Well, again, it's kind of hard because you got to split out some of those towns are taking care of the tax collecting function as well. So, and again, this sheet is a few
3
years,
years old, 4 years old. Three, at least.
It's at least 3 years old. So if we go to clerk,
Washington, Unionville,
so Mena was 29, Mylan was 30, and I know that she does the taxes.
she makes 34 now doing the taxes.
Yeah. And Stanfordville was 26, Unionville was 43, Washington is 53, and the average came out to 34.
Washington's 53?
The average is $34 an hour. So
and-
I
Oh,
think
that's
their
per
current-
hour.
You know, their
Right,
current
so.
salaries, the average salary is $54,000. And Stanford, their town clerk has a lot fewer duties because they have a full-time bookkeeper, supervisor, secretary, and she's an administrative assistant. She runs the town, basically. Supervisor's part-time, but, you know, that's their system. I just want to say that for the past 10 years, this town has needed a full-time town clerk. And,
We never got there.
yeah, I mean, you know, we're very disjointed. We're very disjointed, not by location. The court, their hours, if anybody could recite their hours, I'll give you $10. I've worked here for 28 years, and I can't tell you what their hours are because if the moon is blue, you know, whatever. But what the town clerk does is really brings the town together and is really the point of public access. And I know in my position, zoning officer is very hard to get a hold of. Arlene is always available, but I'm able to answer a lot of questions for the zoning, for the assessor. Assessor, very infrequent hours. In May, I'm the person that helps people with all of their forms, the VAR. I listen to them. They're my constituents. I'm elected. I work for the people. So if they come to the office with the question for the VAR, well, I'm not going to say, well, I'm the town clerk. That's not my department. I work for the people. And so part of the issue of being the town clerk is being that public person. Oh, and then you've got so many things that are also your responsibility. So it's a full-time job in and of itself for the work, but also as the face of the town. And that's true for every town. So my personal nature is a problem solver. And I mean, I can just tell you the problems that I personally have solved.
Okay.
The screens that we put up, that's my idea. Using Zoom, that's my idea. Kathy coming on board, brand new, in December. The previous tax collector was of no help to her. She and I got that office running. She couldn't get into the bank account, the tax collector wouldn't answer her. Well, I have a personal relationship with the bank. I called the president, 10 minutes later, he gave her the passcode. I mean, these are the things that are invaluable
Right.
and intangible. Yes, I do vouchers. Yes, I do payroll. But the town clerk's job is exponentially so much more important as the face of the town. I've never been able to have the town board understand that. And with all due respect, you have other jobs. You're not here, you don't see it. It is demoralizing, as Ray said. It is demoralizing not to be paid fairly. I mean, right now I'm working full-time. I think I'm making $13 an hour. Granted, I'm not an hourly employee. You know, but that equates respect, I think. That's how Ray and I would see it. I know Arlene and I have talked
And some of the records, just in case you don't realize.
We're not devaluing
No,
what
no,
she does.
but I'm just saying, some of the records you can throw away in 1 month, and other records you got to keep 50 years after they left the office.
It's
So-
a case of
And you got to
not
sort them by those
devaluing what
categories.
she does. We know.
Right.
And
Well, I'm asking to be compensated
it's
fairly.
how
for
we
that.
make that leap.
What was
Make believe.
what was
You
the
know,
average?
Excuse me, I
Sorry.
was interrupted. I just want to finish my thought. When the town board, which only was one of you, was deemed back in 2012, had an exorbitant tax increase, and so in order to fulfill a better budget, they fired 8 people. 8 people were let go. I took on the job of 5 of them. I received no pay increase for 6 years. 6 years. I never wavered in the job that I did. I accepted that work with open arms again. You know, I have a personal story with this community, and what this community did for my family in the summer of 2012, I could never, ever repay. And here I am in that position, in that very public position of town clerk. And thank you, Jesus, for giving me that opportunity, because I repay this community every day. But what I'm asking for now, the level of work has expanded. I know the law, I know the job, I problem solve efficiently, effectively.
Right.
I move the paper, I help the people to be compensated fairly the way the other town clerks in this county are, because they get it. Their town boards get it. An efficient town clerk with systems in place who manages the town and is the face of the town is exponentially better for the whole town, not just the town clerk's office.
Or the town
All right.
board functioning here.
So when I did the comparison a couple of years ago, the clerk's office was only open 16 hours. Is that still the same now, or?
We're open probably 22 hours, but I'm here more than that. Like every Friday I work, but I don't open the
Have
door.
hours.
I mean, I don't open the door now, but I don't open the door because that is my time.
Because when I was doing comparisons 3-4 years ago, I was comparing how many hours Mylan was open, how many hours Stanford and everybody else. And again, I haven't updated it in the last 3 years, but that was one of the calculations, is that and again, if we were going to make you full time and that office is going to be open full time, then you can't begrudge it. But that's always been my thing, is the town getting that access? So are the people getting the full access to, whether it be Ray or you or Arlene or whoever, if we're making it full time, are they getting that full time access?
Well, right now I'm open 4 days a week to the public from 8 in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon. So, and Fridays I'm working probably till noon, 1 o'clock. But more than that, what you have to understand about the town clerk's job is also being the vital statistics registrar. I make myself available 24/7. I'm a notary. I notarize 7 days a week in the office at their homes. Listen, people don't die from 9 to 3, Monday through Thursday, right? And so I probably have 25 deaths a year, 20 marriages a year. People are working.
And some
So
babies.
When they need their marriage license, they have to appear together with certain paperwork. That's all by appointment. That's in the evening, that's on
Okay.
the weekends.
Let's go.
So let me ask you something, Carol.
Yeah.
How many hours do you think with Friday that you're legitimately working? Just trying to figure.
I'm at least 35 hours a week, including funeral directors, marriage licenses,
What did
special requests.
you say the average was? And what towns did it include?
Yeah, 54,000. Washington, Amenia, Unionville, and Stanford.
Okay, we have to make a decision here somehow.
See, the problem with like Amenia, because it has a village, it's not a fair comparison. But I don't think Amenia paid that much anyway, so it's not like it's going to help it by taking it out as far as the average.
Well, and in 3 years, we know those numbers have gone up.
Amelia right now, Dean, this year, they have a population of 4,300, and she is the tax collector as well. She makes $58,427. I mean, Nancy, you saw yourself in Red Hook. You were shocked. Sue McCann made $69,000. You were shocked.
Yeah.
I'm not shocked.
That was Red Hook?
Yeah.
Red Hook.
And that's what does she do the taxes too?
She did do the taxes.
See, the Amenia tax clerk, the town clerk in Amenia in 2016 was at 29,000.
16.
So I don't know what, 2016. So I don't know what caused that
5 years
huge jump, but they were at 29,000 when I did the comparison.
Washington, Mary Alex makes $62,300. I mean, I'll make the comparison. I think they treat their town clerks the way you treat your highway supervisor. Okay? And he's administrative. He's in and out. Your town clerk is a working town clerk. Most town clerks are. But we also have administrative responsibility to the town board. I'm handling 4 of your contracts, a local law. I mean, I was here till whatever, all day. If I don't manage those contracts, if I don't send that law to Albany in 4 days, your law is mute.
You got to do it again.
You have to do the whole process all over again. And these are the tenets of the law that I know and that I adhere to and that I'm loyal to. And these are the things that the town board, being that you guys do work, in other professions, rely on your town clerk. I say to Nancy, come, you need to do the CD block. Come to me. I'll do it for you.
Yeah, no,
That's my job.
we all know
Again,
that.
I think we go back to the big jump all at once, and that's
So
really.
my question is, do we make a leap like that, or do we do some interim thing with the implication that
Do it
next
over
year
two
we get
year
there? That's all my
period,
question
come up
was.
with their.
Don't devalue you at all, Carol.
Yeah.
I could not make half the things at the meeting if it wasn't for you. Okay?
I respect that.
Yeah.
I want to say this probably should have been done 10 years ago.
Right.
And the fact that, when the town board excised all these other people and I did all their work and continue to do it, and it's fine, it's all public release, it's all public information. There was a long dry spell for all of us, 6 years of nothing.
Well, I agree with that. I agree that that's, there's stuff that's kind of went down.
And so I want to say, to make the jump, yes, it's large. And if you look at it in terms of, wow, that's a 30%. Well, there's always many ways to look at a situation. Well, let's look at it this way. I make $13 an hour. Is that fair? Last year, Melissa's in the audience. Melissa, I don't mean to point you out personally. April made $7,000. I won't name names. The highway clerk made $7,000. Before the new highway clerk even started, you added $10,000 to her pay.
Let's not go there. That's not for this conversation.
But
All right.
you made a leap.
There's a justification. That's
You
not,
made a leap because there was
that's
certain
not for
work
this
to be
meeting.
done and certain capabilities
Okay.
you're looking for.
all right. So, what do we do?
Look, and Nancy, wait, let me just say, I'm not disparaging anybody. What I am saying is, the town board has taken leaps when they've determined they were necessary. That's all I'm saying. No personality.
I think the big, look,
I mean, even us as town board members are being paid half of what the next highest town is.
I agree.
They're getting 8,000 and above, and they're getting benefits and everything else. So we've all been punished. And 10 years ago, we took a 25% pay cut. Again, we don't do it for the pay. We do it because we're trying to give to the town.
How do you get back? How do you get back to that?
Well, that's
the only thing that
Little by little,
I
yeah.
will say in Carol's favor, we have, well, the 4 of us have our full-time jobs. I mean, you know, we do this because we kind of come in, that becomes her job. It's a little bit more in hours on that. My concern is, like, I don't disagree with where she's going. I just think it's a tough number to go up. There are certain things that I think, as far as taking a jump on, I just, as elected official, I don't know if we can. You know, split it somewhere in the middle for this year and then go up to next year. I'd kind of be, you know.
I honestly, I mean, I'm going to sound crazy compared to you guys. I think she should be making 50 a year, so I'm fine with 41,496. I really am. I'm fine with this number.
Yeah.
She's earning every cent of it.
With what's there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, you know, the other thing that pops up,
Dean?
What other things pop up? What?
well, like we are wildly spending money on trucks and equipment. I mean,
Well, you have to understand. Hold on, before you say that, Ray. The trucks, and again, this is my field because I understand equipment. When the old, and I won't name names, but the old highway superintendent, there was no plan. So if there was normally in business, when we look at equipment, we have a 1 year, a 2 year, a 5 year, and a 10-year plan with equipment. And so everything came up and bit us in the rear end this year because there was equipment issues and the amount of repairs that needed. That's apples and oranges.
all I'm
Well, also, when we had that big snowstorm, 3 of our pieces of equipment
down.
broke down
That's
in the
correct.
middle of the storm.
So, but I do agree with 6 years of going there and not having a plan because it should have. And I've even said this one-on-one with you, is out of whack. Let it be if it's for our building department clerk or anyone else. We got to work this out. You know, I'm kind of on the fence on this one. You know,
Yeah, well,
because I understand where
what are we,
all sides are on.
you
this.
say
I do.
leave it.
I want to clarify my statement because I said she's earning every cent, and while Carol is, the position earns every cent. It's not a
Yeah.
personal thing. The position earns every cent of it. So,
And the position probably is deemed full-time, but can we afford to make that big jump? And that's why I say, without having all these numbers in front of us.
I just want to say, and just, not even that it's me, just for the office, for the next person. I mean, you know, let's face it, I'm not going to be here forever. I am working full-time, and I want you to know that the work that the board does takes exact, detail-oriented.
I understand.
The thing that I'm asking the town board is to recognize it already is full-time, and the effort that it takes to do it well is full-time, and it has been full-time. I've been doing it for all these years. For the last 10 years, there has been,
But 2 years ago, you told me you were working 20 hours.
in the office.
Right.
But, I mean, I just.
I mean, because that's when I asked you, and I was trying to make a comparison. I was asking, you know.
Here's the thing, you know, personally, I'm not going to sit in the office for 35 hours and make $4 an hour.
No,
So
I understand.
do all my minutes at home, both before and after the meeting. You know, what I can do at home,
Sure.
I do. And I'm in here at my convenience. Do you know what I'm saying? So the work is there, the work has been being done, and it is a big jump, and I'm asking you to make that jump because it's exponentially good for the town. There has never been a right time. And I respect that COVID is difficult for people. It's difficult for me too. That's not why I'm asking for the raise. But I am more busy. I mean, we're locked to the public. You can ask Ray.
oh yeah.
I've got people in my office all day long. If I'm not comfortable with them, like Arlene, we conduct our business outside on the porch. So people need the services of the town. The town clerk is an essential part. It's the
We know,
nucleus.
we know.
It's the part that brings everything together. When Judy works from 1 to 3 on a Wednesday, who do you think is answering all these questions, assessing questions, sending
Okay.
people forms, going online? I mean, that's what the town clerk does. And now with COVID, I'm here all day long. You can ask Ray. I do not have a minute to myself. is when I finally started item number 1 on my list of things to do. Because of the people, the phone calls, and the interruptions.
He's right.
So I'm asking you to make that leap. I'm asking you to make that leap, and I'll get flack for it too. But
So-
I think that the people in this community know the value that of the clerk's office, and particularly the value that I bring to the town clerk's office.
If you're
just,
saying,
just having gone through that 10 years ago when, we were going to have that major increase, everybody came in here and they said, we don't care who you fire, we don't want to pay the tax. And I remember it was like pitchforks downstairs in this basement.
I was there.
How people were like, we don't care what you do, we don't want tax increase.
well, but there's also within that, Dean, and I got to say, because I was one of the ones with the pitchforks downstairs, and I guess I'm on the other side, so I kind of look at things a little bit differently, understanding. But that was when, if I remember right, when these buildings got moved and over, and there was things that were kind of being done. So,
But that was very
that
little.
was a fact.
That
because
was very
I
little to
didn't
the budget.
agree with the way this whole thing went down here. So
I know.
So
Let's get back to where we are.
Yeah, one question. You have right now on the proposed budget these maths budget was 38 hours, and you're saying you're doing 35.
Right, well, yes, just, because I'm only making $29,000.
No, I understand. I mean, if we were to base off of 35 for this year come 35 hours that you said at 21, which honestly $21 is what's that?
The $21, the average clerk.
Well, no, I know, but I'm just going by what was written, because let me just make sure I'm seeing it right here. Yeah, so because it was showing $21 an hour, that would be for 35 hours. Just to give a comparison, that'd be 38,220 on that.
I'd be happy with that. If you want 35 hours, I'm going to be doing records management regardless, because I've got to get some shelving in there.
I mean, I say if we do it over a 2-year step and come in within that, then I think I can, at least it's a sacrifice a little bit on one side as an elected official, trying to get up to the realm. I think that's where I'm on the fence on that. It's not a big difference. A big difference between the 41 and 38.
What's 35 hours? It's 21.
Well, 35 hours is 38,220. It's not as a point.
How many hours? 35?
Well, I'm just going off of what Carol said.
No, I'm just trying to keep track of what you're doing, that's all.
Okay.
Well, I'm good with the 41, so the 38 to 20. Yeah, that's what everybody decides.
I'm happy with 41, but
And I have no problem for next year getting it up a little bit, at that point. I understand, and we're
You okay? You say the 41?
I'd be happy with 41 on.
Like I said, I was there 10 years ago, and I've been consistent ever since, to be very frugal in increases,
Okay, I'll make it
solely for that
easier.
experience. So.
I have a problem with the big leap, but I will support what's here if everybody else
Which
agrees.
one?
The 41.
There's no
You was-
question you're worth every dime
41?
of it, okay?
Yeah.
It's just
So it stays at 41?
how it's going to appear when we present it.
I think it appears terrible that we're paying her as little as we're paying her. That doesn't appear good. So the 41,
I would like to see
41
that at 38.
at
and step up
38
next
hours.
Year, but that's show a
41
little
at
bit of a
38
leap
hours,
and
right.
then,
So what about you, Chris?
so
Well,
if we do-
my view is I would see, at least because it's going down just a little bit as a good faith for our constituents, where we have a plan for next year that we stick to. I'll be on record, be the first person to support you on that. But at least it's showing that we're trying to do something in a bad time when people are out of work.
Can we also just say
It's
that
not
it
a
would
lot,
be
but
41
it's
at the 38 hours? That's how there's in here,
That's fine.
38.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be in the basement every
There you go.
She won't see anybody. Like a hermit.
Even if you went with the 35 hours, the value is still,
It's still the same.
her
Yeah.
annual salary is still more
41,496.
than Grace, which is what this
Okay.
sort formula had called for anyway, so. Dean, what do you think?
Whatever you guys.
35 hours or 38?
I'll work 38 hours, that's fine.
I think the other two we have to deal with is clerk to ZBA and the clerk to the highway, because we've had conversations about them.
Well, we didn't do the deputy clerk either.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I'm fine with, just 2%, and I'd like a few extra hours for records management, but that's what I asked for, I think 3 extra hours.
Yeah, that's fine.
35?
So what do we say though? Where are we at with?
I don't know, we're at
I just
either,
like to
we're
write
at
down
either
35
35
hours.
hours or 38 hours.
35 hours.
The difference is,
Right.
38 hours.
Basing it at the 38, like I said, it was the 38.
going to work whatever she has to
38,
work anyway.
32
32
times is 41.
It's
496.
Basically 3,000 less. It's in my eyes, I think it goes a long way with at least
No.
constituents. And then
It's 38,000.
Oh, we're going out of
We got 3 of
38,000?
us.
I'm just saying what I.
Yeah, the numbers are running around here, so.
Yeah, I'm sorry. 3 of us had agreed to the 41,496.
Okay, the three. You agree
Yeah.
to the 41?
Yeah,
All right, then I guess it's that.
okay, so
Let's just do it.
just
okay?
stays the same as what's there.
All right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
I just wanted you to understand, I'm not against it. I just was trying, as an elected official, I'm just looking at, because I know a lot of people that are out of work up here and looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
I do have, as we move down, I don't know who, from here, if anyone has anything else, I will get by Tuesday a comparison list as to what's being done in highway now, record keeping and so on, and what wasn't done before. So you can put a value on whether Melissa will not get any additional hourly wage, but we're asking for 3 hours more a week for her, which she is putting in more than that at home now. I will.
You just said you're not asking for more hours, but you're going to.
No, she
No,
meant
I
more
said I'm
salary,
not asking
but
for more hourly pay. In other words, the pay she's at, she gets 2% like everybody else.
Right.
We're asking for 3 additional hours per week.
So you're not asking for more pay, but you're asking for more hours per week.
So
Yes.
when Todd was here when we were doing the highway fund, he asked for 25 hours.
23 hours.
She's currently at 19, right? He asked for 6 more hours, 25, and we went to the middle and said, how would 22 work? And that would
She's working 19, we're asking for 22.
22,
3
exactly.
hours more.
Yeah, he wanted 6. We compromised at 3.
Obviously, that'll affect her overall salary,
Yeah.
but not her hourly wage. And I will present you with the facts, and then you can vote on whether that flies or not, okay?
So,
So right now she's 22, but you want to make her 25. You're going to bring information back.
They
for
want
25.
22.
Right now it's at 19.
That
You
ninth,
agreed
Yeah, we
I
already
thought we
agreed on
agreed
the
to
3.
the 22 already.
Yeah, we already agreed on the 22.
just so you know, she is working 22 hours a week in general right
Yeah,
now.
yeah. And I think we agreed to the
Okay,
22 already.
but we have a budget that had 19 in there.
Yeah.
So she's overrunning the budget now.
but I want to
But
give
she's
you,
not
We already agreed to it last week. We said put it in.
Oh, you
wanna
said
give
put
you
it?
the
I didn't hear that.
facts.
Oh, okay, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I thought we did too.
I want to give you the facts,
Yeah.
because I know Ray doesn't agree,
I
think Carol
said we
has
were going to
some-
do all of
some
them
idea.
tonight, so.
and I'm not
I don't
sure
care what
Dean
we
does
say.
either.
Honestly, I think, again, this is one of them ones, because I spent a lot of time in the highway department.
Well, we know what she's doing.
I definitely go on the record saying, you can't compare the previous person in there to what she's doing as far as it goes. I think 25 for that position, because if Todd's able to get some of the other stuff done and keeping with the budget or close to it and getting, being fairly productive, I think that's worth it. I know we agreed at 22.
She's happy
at
with
the point.
22. She said she's happy.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying, I know, and it's not because of anything other than I know what the job
Right.
entails.
So
But
we have to make a
fine.
decision though tonight so we can get numbers for the next one.
So it's 22
I said
hours.
22. 22.
Yeah. The only comment I made was we were paying $10 an hour, $13 an hour for a 10-hour week, and that's been in the budget and not changed much. So the person in the office was not overrunning the budget or doing other things. If we wanted more stuff to be done, we could have increased the hours, but we didn't.
Yeah, the
So,
biggest thing is we're trying to get you get the wages up to where the competitive, so we have competitive.
I've got the
people.
list, I just want to have a narrative with everything.
No,
so
I
people-
know that. I'm just saying that's just in general through the
Right.
town because we're having a tough time getting
Okay.
people too. So.
So let's move on.
Okay.
Well, what else is left?
Is that it?
I think that's the only one left we haven't discussed. That's more than the 2%.
Is it?
Who?
Arlene,
Arlene?
right? Am I correct?
Okay, Ray, highway temp workers,
Yep.
you got 28 hours for 2021?
I gotta find them.
Wait a minute, let's see.
Highway temp, yeah.
Should be,
I got $14 an hour, that's all I got there.
Yeah, with no hours.
I know, because the hours are listed as the total hours for the year.
Yeah.
For that portion that they're working.
per week, hours per estimated per year.
We pay by hour anyway, so
It should be 33.
I can go back and look in the book.
Should be 33.
33 hours?
Yes,
For how many weeks?
Was that in the seasonal on the highway side?
that's what they actually did. 33.
Oh, okay.
Was that like 24 weeks?
I don't know.
Nance?
Let's see.
And that's for rec.
How many weeks?
Oh, okay.
33 at $15 an hour.
How many weeks?
It's,
No, wait. You're talking the
It's-
different job than,
April.
you're not talking highway at this point. You're talking cemetery and rec.
Yeah,
Are
you're
you-
talking the recreation maintenance.
Are you changing what you're talking about? Or are we talking about something else?
I'm talking rec, but it's really.
Okay, well, you
not a
said
rec
highway
budget, but
temp
it's
workers.
really
So-
highway. That
Right now, we have a
manages-
recreation maintenance line.
That's right,
There's a recreation maintenance line, $15 an hour,
at 32 hours.
32 hours, 28 weeks.
weeks.
Well, it would bounce up to 1530.
Well, I don't know what the dollars comes out. It's
Well,
not a...
1530 is the hourly
No, it's 50.
for the 2%
$15
increase.
an hour.
Yeah, well, yeah, because
That's rec maintenance.
then
per
I
hour.
got to change the cemeteries because they're the same people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the number is.
I don't even see that one.
The maintenance budget is in rec, but the managing and supervising of that now is under
Yeah.
highway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The same with cemetery.
yeah.
So you're saying maintenance is if the recreation maintenance is 1530, is that you're saying
Yes,
that the maintenance
right.
worker for cemetery should
And
be
it's
same?
it should be 33 hours
Yeah, they're both...
a week.
Because they interchange what they do unless one is going to be given different responsibilities.
Sorry, so both are 33 hours and
Yes.
at the same salary, 1530?
Right.
Okay.
So it's just one more hour each week.
But the
than
different
what he's
amount of weeks. They're different amount of weeks.
Find the cemetery one. Oh, there it is.
No, you just said that they're both 33 hours. No, one is 28 and one's 33 still?
No, what we have right now. yeah.
Highway worker, I don't know.
No, so the highway one is 33
That's-
hours per week,
The
but you have
highway
28
is a
weeks.
wingman, basically,
Yeah,
kind of
okay.
thing.
All right.
The cemetery is only 18 weeks.
Yeah,
Oh, cemetery is 18 weeks, okay.
yeah, because it's just mowing. It's not prepping and unprepping and everything else.
Discovering
All right, so
benches.
that's 18.
Digging them out.
Yeah.
Okay, we done?
We haven't talked about the clerk at the ZBA yet.
Okay, what are we going to do there?
Just want to make sure it's the other big jump that's on there.
$1. It's $1. It's the hours that increased from 35 to 40.
I'm not arguing with anyone. I'm looking at the final number and I'm saying it's the other big jump that's on here.
Increase the number of hours, that's why. From 35 to 40. Which I'm doing now.
Yeah.
All right.
Is there a reason why under rec that some of these blanks are not filled in as to the numbers of lifeguards and so on? I know that he's turned all that in.
No, because I don't know how many lifeguards and how many hours they work. Some of them only work 3 hours.
Right.
That's the
But
only
I mean,
amount of
they have
time.
to have 18 lifeguards.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
So-
So it's just
So
very
that's why we
flexible,
just
is
do
what
the
you
rate.
said.
We don't do
Okay.
the
All right.
number of hours on them, because I don't know what it would be. Because some work all year and all summer, and some only work 2 days, and that's it.
Okay.
So,
I don't have anything else.
okay, so council persons stay the same, 0%. So I'll change those numbers. The next one down is, building inspector said, I had it wrong here because I showed him the numbers. He's 20 hours at $24, and it comes out to $24,960. So it
Which one is that
actually
one?
comes down. Building inspector, Mike.
Okay. So
It's 20 hours. I had it at 29 hours. I may have just typed the wrong number. So that comes out to be $24 an hour, and the total is $24,960, which was, I think, the previous number, with just a 6% increase. But you can't compare it because it was a crazy number before, different hours and everything else. So that changed. And then town clerk is 38 hours, no other change. Mine is supervisor, 31,920. It's not going to be 36 hours. I don't know what that comes out to be. And that will include, which I didn't do, the budget officer from down the bottom. Highway clerk is 22 hours. That's the only change I got there. And the rec people go up 2%, whatever that comes out to be.
and you got the hours for rec maintenance and cemetery maintenance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I got to do that change, but, so that's it on that page.
So you need to change your assumption letter too. Because you're not going to be full-time. So if this becomes a document that you have
Yeah.
to file,
And that's the wish list.
This is,
the letter, this.
yeah, this is what we're
Budget was
starting.
based on these assumptions.
Yeah, that was all.
Yeah.
You got to have something to talk about. You can't just start talking.
We're getting there.
And that's the reason why I documented my thoughts. And, we change things and we change them. I don't care.
So if we can get good numbers at the preliminary, we can then look at the wish list and continue to keep
I
the wish
just wanna-
list.
Let's see, the wish list. I'm trying to find where it is. I lost track of which document it was on. Oh, here it is. The wish list was on it was the one where the
The health insurance.
health insurance was attached to.
Yeah.
And we can dispense with some of them automatically, or we can say we'll consider them, we'll think about them, or
I
whatever.
think we really need to see what we've done to our budget.
Yeah, we
before
need to see
Well,
the preliminary numbers.
Some of this stuff may be thrown out.
You can take the doorbell off, I can tell you.
Well, I know it was your doorbell, and
I know, you can though. That can go.
well, that's what I'm asking. Now, what about the solar panels? Do you think
Yeah.
we should keep pushing for that?
Not unless we get a grant.
Okay, so we'll take them off. Well, that's what I'm looking for, but I didn't want to throw this stuff away. I'm still asking for the generator.
Not unless we get a grant.
That's whatever you guys want. And then,
Hey, we gotta see what this all adds up to. We may be back having this discussion again. You know?
you will at the preliminary town board meeting. Now, here was number 5, unspecified long deferred maintenance on the town hall complex, 30,000. It was proposed by Elliott.
That's the painting that we already added to tonight.
Okay, so we can take that off,
Yeah.
and I'll call it painting. I just so I know, because
I-
next year I carry over the stuff that we don't do.
Yeah.
Now,
I want to go on record as saying I had talked to Ray about $1,000, which would cover safety and training. I have no idea what that's going to amount to, but
it's
I
in the
needed
budget.
some kind of a budget. And Ray said it was in from last year.
yeah, I
Okay,
put it in
but I
again.
just want that to be recorded.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not asking for additional monies. This year, I need that carried over.
Yeah. And then number 6 was energy efficient windows in library areas. That was Mary Pat Sternberg from the library asking for that. I don't know what it cost this.
Yeah, I was going to say, we don't have any numbers on that.
No, I haven't figured that out. But, you know, the windows are still there. We fixed the broken window that they were complaining about. Friends Park replaced ball field fence. You're looking for a grant on that, so I can take that off of here.
The what?
The fence for the Friends
Over Friends.
Well,
ball
that's going to
field.
be part of the,
Yeah, so I can take that off
yeah,
as one of these things here
for now.
for now. And the other one was to install a sulfur gas elimination treatment system that for about $2,500 to make the water drinkable that we have right now. I drink it. Some people shudder at it. And
I'd leave that on there.
So that's what happens. You've been drinking the water.
well, hopefully that would reduce the volume of water that we need to buy in bottles.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll discuss that one when we see the
Yeah,
preliminary
no,
numbers.
but
I think
I'm
that's a
just,
good one.
yeah, I'm leaving that
You know,
in.
that's almost like a wash, when you look at the cost of what we're paying for water
And the rental.
rental and everything else.
I'm still on the bottled water caper. I don't have sulfur in my water, and I have it tested all the time, but I still drink bottled water.
Some people are addicted to bottled water just like they're to
I use a
beer
Brita
or
filter, my wife
cigarettes or
wastes
whatever.
bottled water, so.
See? It's-
I don't use bottled water in my house. It comes out of the spigot. Okay, I just wanted to bounce through so that we can focus in on any one of these things that we need more.
Well, my answer is going to be no until I know what the,
Yeah,
the
well,
numbers are.
at least we decrease the things that are in here.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else we have to do? I'll upgrade this with all the changes once I can do that. Now, all this stuff has got to be done by next. No,
No,
you're
nobody
okay.
argued with it.
No. No, you're okay.
You want us to argue over it?
You want us to argue over it?
You are all welcome. You are all welcome to go in the department and how crazy the building is.
Yeah, we all agreed to cut your hours in half.
And I'm sure all of you drive here every day. You see me here?
Oh, yeah.
Don't talk yourself out of it.
Yeah.
Keep on talking, it's going
Take
down.
yes for an answer.
And now you're ready to approve the Airbnb.
Okay.
Okay. Are we
Okay,
done?
so we all done? Now, okay, let me do the motion. I make a motion that the town board adjourns the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Thanks a lot. See you in another week.